Draft.
All right, we are live, everybody. There it is. Ding, 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 ding. I have somehow found myself again at the helm of one of these awesome industry analyst drafts. Welcome, everybody, to the 2021 Turf Draft. I'm your host, the big guy with the big mouth from the Big Apple. You'll be hearing enough out of me. Let's get to the founder and the commissioner of this league, Matt Williams, good friend of mine of Roto Fanatic fame and also of NBC Sports Edge fame. Matt, explain to us how this happened. I know there are other ARF leagues. So talk to us the history of ARF.
Well, one, I'm not the founder of the league. The one who actually came up with the idea to do this was Rob, right below me, dead pull hitter. And him, and Simeone.
Oh, no!
Oh, what did you do?
I was trying to blow him up and I removed him. All right.
Is this supposed to be on Twitter, by the way? Because I don't see it up there.
No, it's to YouTube, and I'm going to post the link once I get it going on.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Sorry.
So I don't know how to blow up.
It's just 4 hours of technical difficulties.
Right. So I don't know how to blow up just Matt. So I learned that before.
It's all small.
Okay. To Matt in the corner.
No one wants to. No, I said pretty much Rob came up with the idea to do this because we'll get to the other leagues, but yeah, then pretty much the three of us that are on screen besides John just kind of decided we want to do this, and I just kind of like picked it up and recruited a bunch of people. But yeah, the ARF and ERF leagues. Everyone knows the BARF League, which stands for Bay Area Roto Fantasy, even though it's BARF. That's Justin Mason, Eno Saris, Toby, Bethlehem Crazy, Casey Bubba, Matty Wood. I mean, I'm sure I'm forgetting a bunch of people I shouldn't be forgetting. But it's everyone out in the Bay Area and San Francisco do a local area league, and we decided that we kind of would want to do our own. Last year, Chris, Baseball Pods, if you know Matt Baseball Pods, he does one New England Nerf League, which is, Eric Cross, Ralph Lipschitz, there's a bunch of guys up in the New England area. So we're doing our league tonight, the Turf League, which is essentially Turnpike Roto Fantasy, Philly, New York, New Jersey, kind of the whole area down here. And there's a WERF League, WERF, Western Expanse, which is pretty much everything out west, northwest.
Western Expanse.
And then we're called Glarf, which is like glitter barf. I don't know. That's the Great Lakes area, Roto Fantasy, which is like, the Michigan, whatever, Ohio area. And that's like a really stacked league. That's, I think, the Dave McDonald is running that one, but they have like a giant group there that's really tough.
I love the idea in general. It's really very representative of the fantasy industry and as a whole, I think. Being from New York City, we tend to find ourselves in our own little bubbles. So meeting people from all over the country in different time zones has been excellent. The other two guys are from my time zone also. Before you guys kick it off, Mike, what's going on, man? Talk to everybody.
Nothing.
You gonna win? Is that how confident you are? Like, he doesn't. He's just good. He's good.
No, actually, hold on, real quick. The draft's gonna start pretty soon, so we should probably let everyone know this is 15 team, 5x5, but it's OBP and quality start. So boom. So in case you're wondering what the hell we're doing, that's what we're doing.
Mike, you feeling pretty comfortable, I guess? He's feeling pretty comfortable with himself, everybody.
Yeah. If I have a plan, we'll see what happens.
Yeah. These are tough. You know what? You guys are cutting your teeth.
I don't stress about these things.
Yeah, well, man, there's really no rest for the weary in these leagues. You guys, you keep finding yourselves in these uber competitive, infinitely competitive leagues. But there's probably no better way to compete. And for any of the listeners out there, I don't think there's a better place to find ADP than in a room full of analysts like last year's DC winner, Big Rob D, Mr. 100%. What's cracking, homie?
Not much, brother. Just excited to be here, talking the good stuff with you guys.
Always drafting. You are always drafting, homie.
Yeah, it's great. I like I like how this is a bunch of different things, and I got to pull myself away from main event prep, but I feel like it's just a good adjustment to know the rules, and it's so different. So, it'll be interesting to see if people attack certain things that the league layout allows it to be. So, I'm excited to, get into the whole, Earth situation. I just remember like DMing Matt and Mike and be like, why don't we have this? Let's do this. And it's cool. Matt went to work. He put it together. He got all the guys. He did the logo. So I'm pretty excited.
I was curious, Matt. Let me ask you. because this is something I find, and I know you and I at least are a little bit aligned in, we're super analytical, so we draw up these kind of strict parameters when we're drafting people, right? I don't like him because he's only going to hit this or whatever. So I find I like these other leagues that are a bit unique because it allows you to draft players that maybe you wouldn't.
Like Biggio.
So, yeah, I was wondering if that is that kind of what you had in mind when you guys were doing this to make them a bit unique. I mean, you draft so many standard 5x5s that maybe it all kind of seems the same. So I tend to think these are interesting.
Well, the Barf League, the original, the Bay Area San Francisco one, they made these rules. We're all using the same ones because there's going to be an overall, which is, I think Rob said, Earth. Since everyone's Earth and ARF, Earth. We're going to have like a belt with like
I hope it's Earth with an F, right?
Yeah, Earth.
Good. Maybe Earth, maybe with two Earth.
But yeah, I mean, it's imperfect, but on base percentage is better than average. It gives you a better idea of the skill of a lot of hitters. I mean, there's still they're very flawed, like Biggio. He's incredibly flawed. Spoiler alert, I'm still not drafting him. I don't like him. But quality start, even though all of your work, John, quality start's very flawed. Still infinitely better than wins, but it should be weird this year, considering quality starts with the kind of the amount of innings we're looking at.
To that point, what Matt's referring to, if anybody is unaware, I've been supremely frustrated with the win and then the quality start. So I did a bunch of work. It started a couple of years ago, and it takes a long time to progress. So I do understand, but I feel like now that it's pretty, I feel like it's established.
Is this paused?
I don't know. It's just not going, right?
Yeah, it says the draft is not currently running.
Yeah, it just hasn't started yet. So
there you go.
I feel like I established the stat, and I'm going to let it play out this year and kind of run it. And I think if I show people in real time what their categories would look like had they be using Quality Starts Plus, I think it really could change things. You know what? Earth might be a good place for me to start my campaign. But right, Rob? I mean, it's going to be very hard to convince a standard like NFBC, right? It's going to be very hard to change the whole game. So I think one of these industry leagues might be a good place for me to start. I'm going to start campaigning to Earth. Rob, if you were in charge of Earth, do you think you could see Quality Starts Plus making their way in there?
I think it would be a better metric, but what I just don't generally like about about using quality starts is that it totally kind of diminishes any reliever win, right? Because those do happen too. So, and that's what I kind of dislike about quality starts.
Isn't that bad though?
Yeah, it is bad. Yeah, 100%.
No. I mean, the reliever win. A lot of times, the reliever win is like a bailout win. Like your reliever blows a save, then his team comes back and scores, and he gets a win with a blown save. Those are garbage.
Rob doesn't like is he can't draft Suter now. So
no, I'll still draft. No doubt, I'll still draft Suter.
He's like, I'm drafting him anyway. Who the hell are you telling me? You're not going to tell me I'm not drafting. All right, see, look, and during that, the draft kicked off. Let's get a look here. Well, I'm not able to kind of share this thing. Oh, I had to re-add it. There we go. Now we're cooking, everybody. Here we go. Started off, Jacob deGrom, Juan Soto, Mike Trout, Ronald Acuna, Tatis, Betts, and Yelich. I'm interested in the Yelich pick, guys. This is somebody – it's funny. We've had a lot of talk about polarizing players. I've had Christian Yelich at the top of that list because, I mean, listen, if you're just going by the stats, this guy's a top 3 overall hitter. There's not really any question about it. We could prove that. But he's sliding to the back of the first for a reason, so he's got to be polarizing. Mike, how about you, SP Streamer? What do you think about Yelich? Right? Isn't it polarizing by the very definition? He should be going to the top 5.
Ask someone else real quick. I'm picking. Sorry.
No.
OBP, I think Yelich is the top three hitter.
I'm like, how did I not know? I didn't know Mike Simeone's name was Mike Simeone. I thought that's what I was looking for. So, Matt, how about you? To Yelich, because I think you actually told me you really weren't that concerned.
No, he's a top 3 hitter in OBP for sure.
Yeah. Well, I mean, right. I don't ever mean to doubt the skills. I think my worry is, of course, the health. So do you think we can get 150 games out of it? Is really, I guess, my question.
Yeah, I mean, everyone's so worried about last year. You take out his first 2 weeks, he has 132 weighted runs created plus. He's still at a 99th percentile exit velocity, a 99th percentile hard hit rate. I mean, he was awesome. And if you actually look at if it was an on-base percentage, if every Roto League was standard OBP, he didn't even have a down year. So yeah, I'm fine with him.
Well, I mean, but I'm talking about health. Like the backs usually don't get better; they get worse. He's not old. I think he's only 29. I think that's what I've been worried about. But man, once I broke down outfielders at a kind of a granular level, man, let me tell you, he's very, very, very impressive. Rob, you got any takes on Yelich? Do you think? I mean, now we're seeing him kind of creep up to 8. He was going more like 14. Where do you think he slots properly?
I think he slots properly anywhere between, I don't know. I think I'd be aggressive up there at least like 7, 8 to him. Like right where Paul took him.
Yeah.
I think it's 60 games away from being like the consensus top 3 player. And I don't know. His skills are still through the roof. I just think that full season averaged it out. Like I think he would have put it together the rest of last season. And I think if you're looking for that upside play right there, with a little bit of risk, but it might be worth it, for sure.
Yeah, my worry is the position. It's you're taking the injury risk on with the position risk of being an outfielder. I think that's where my beef is. The guys you're passing on, like you have to pass on Jose Ramirez, who not only locks up a premier position in the infield, he also is the only guy in his position to do that. And I mean, I guess he's not as good as Christian Yelich, but his speed upside is certainly higher. So, we could argue that his pathway to being the number 1 overall player is solidified. Okay, let me go back to the board. Matt, I don't know, could you blow this up for us one tick? Because we're relying on your screen. I'm afraid it looks a little blurry for people, but wow, that was pretty awesome. Thank you. But no, that's worse. This is like going to the eye doctor. Better or worse? Better, doc. Better. That's the one.
I should say you're doing as far as the league you're covering tonight, it's very different because as close as you're saying to players, like I said, OBP wise, there's a big difference. Like Harper obviously gets a huge bump. Trout gets a huge bump. So when you're talking about the guys you would possibly take over Yelich in this draft, it's not even close.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still going to waste steals. We're not getting rid of steals. It's 5x5.
Well, no, I'm just saying like some players are like with batting average.
It's 5x5 or 6x6. 5x5, right?
No, just 5x5. No average.
Yeah. But OBP, OBP is still just one category that I feel like, if anything, we could find, because I think some people might fail maybe to do some homework, right? There might be some OBP gems later on.
Yeah. You definitely can.
There's definitely homework to do, 100%.
Yeah. So
and too, like John, I think the range of outcomes for Yelich steals range like on like a possible higher end that's like, I think that's attainable. 12, I'll take 12, 13, and I think that's
a very fair projection, Rob. And I think if you're looking at him to do that over the course of a full season, that's conservative, it's rational, and it might come with like a 335 batting average, 38 homers, and 125 ribbies. So that justifies the position. I'm just worried of taking the risk for the position. Guys, let's get to some of the new guys here. I don't know everybody. I see @NMimi. Take it away. Introduce yourself. I don't know who you are. I'm John. Hi. Say hi to everybody out there in YouTube land.
What's going on, guys? Hey, I'm Nick Mimicos from Central Jersey that does not exist. Part of the Stack Attack Fantasy Podcast. Happy to be here. I actually lived in Union County and just moved from North to Central, so I'm adapting down here now.
Awesome.
All right, and Joel?
What's going on, guys? Joel from Long Island, live in Babylon.
That's Long Island.
Babylon.
Show these guys on camera, John.
Long Island,
I don't think everyone
baby.
wants to see the dead draft board.
Yeah, I'm afraid to click on him. I turned you off before. I want to just blow this one guy. Oh, is that how we do it? Hold on. Is it you? No? Oh, God. I don't know what I'm doing. Whatever. He's handsome enough. You're handsome enough for an eighth of a screen. Solo layout. There he is. Yo, Joey Bulo in the house, boy. There we go. My timing is impeccable for this. What's going on, man? I'm digging the hair. When I do mine, I get something like that too. Oh, my wife would kill me, man. I have to get that cut. Oh, you kidding?
I only see myself, and it's making me feel awkward.
I don't blame you. I do not blame you.
We're gonna deal with. All right, we're back to the board. All right, let me get back to it now that at least we met everybody, and then I'll kick it back to all your favorite analysts. Let's go around the horn here. After Garrett Cole went to SB Streamer here, backed up by Joel, who just spoke to Shane Bieber, went Jose Ramirez, Trevor Story. Cody Bellinger gets a bump into the first round. Don't see that often. Backed up by Bryce Harper, who Matt mentioned before, of course, is an OBP beast, and I think with an MVP ceiling. On the turn, Team Mendy, Lucas Giolito, and Trevor Bauer. I recently just caught up with Mendy. He was on Sleeper in the Bust. I'm going to try and get him on Cork Stats. Hopefully he'll be jumping in later today. Everybody check him out. He's doing some good work. He went pocket aces on a turn, Gio and Bauer. A little bit of safety for me and Gio. I'm a bit worried about Bauer. I'm going to have my questions for you guys later on with those pitchers that have made the move to the NL West. Then I went Aaron Nola, who I love, Freddie Freeman, who I'm very surprised to see go where he did. But he went to Cody Bellinger. They could have flip-flop places, so I guess no one's worse for wear. Yu Darvish, Scherzer, Lindor, Castillo, and Buehler. Kind of what you'd expect to see, guys. A lot of pitching going in this second round. The question I want to ask, Matt, I want to start with you. A lot of pitchers moving to the NL West. Let's use some simple math. 30 games started. You get 3 in cores. That's 10%. Are you afraid of A, draft starting these guys outright, and B, drafting them because 10% of their starts may be up in the air?
No, it doesn't matter. Any of these guys you draft in the first 2 rounds, you're never sitting them. That doesn't even enter my mind.
Yeah.
Well, okay, listen, I hear you, and maybe that's just me. I feel like
100%.
At this high level, we need to have the microscope out to that point. I'm not really at the point where I'm arguing your point, Matt, because I'm not sure I disagree, because that's how I felt coming in. I just thought it's interesting at least that we have so many quality pitchers moving that way. Can I ask you one more, Matt? Now, if that applies to Darvish and Bauer, what would you say about Musgrove, who made the same move, but he's not quite the caliber as much as we all on Twitter like him to be?
It depends on what he is to you. I mean, I guess if you're stacked and he's like your SP3, you can consider it depending on how he's been pitching. But overall, the guys that are going well, I'm probably not going to sit. I mean, I think you have to draw. It depends on where you draw that line. I would probably roll him out there if he was going well, like we expect him to. Like once you get back to like the Dustin Mays, then you can draw that line like of people going to Coors Field. But I would say anyone you're drafting to be one of your first 3 starting pitchers, I'm probably not going to be sitting him too often.
All right, how about you, Rob? This is a question I like to ask as many smart analysts as I can, you being one of them. Talk to me, Rob, about the same questions. Are you worried about these guys at all, or should I just put the fears aside? They're aces, let the dogs run. But even more specifically, guys, do we look at them the same as somebody like Aaron Nola, who's not going to face the DH, and though the division is tough, is not going to be facing these guys? Rob, talk to us about the guys moving to the West.
I mean, I think the NL thing is a real thing. I mean, you got to do your adjustments if it stays that way. But yeah, I think you got to let the horses run, Johnny. I think these guys, I get that you definitely have to split hairs at the top 100%. I just also think there's that level of imprecision that we have, right? And to like that whole, I embrace that, and I'll just go with who I feel in my evaluation the best player. And right now it's DeGrom, and I would, pick a guy like Noah 100% too, Johnny. That's the horn.
All right, somebody's concurrent drafting. We know I'm down. We just got a new person in the draft room. It's Nick Retrivi. Please forgive me if I said it wrong. Correct me, though, and tell everybody where they can find you.
Hey, what's going on? Nick Retrivi. Yeah, you got it pretty much right. I'm on Roto Bowler. And
what team are you, Nick? Before I go, I want to call you out.
Nicky Tapas. I'm drafting 8th. I got Trey Turner, Buehler.
Love that star.
Mike already sniped me, of course. I want a Castillo, but what are you gonna do?
All right, how are we feeling about this draft? I want to jump you right in. Answer this question I've been asking everybody so far. We have some aces that have moved over to the NL West. The competition there not only is high, but you go to the death trap that is Coors. So are you worried with the amount of starts you're going to have to, if you have a Dodger, he has to go to San Diego and he has to pitch at Coors. The same for the Padres, have to go to the Dodgers and go to Coors. Are you worried about these starts? What could amount to 10% or more? Are you worried, Nick?
Not really. I mean, at the when you're talking about somebody like Buehler, I mean, they're pretty much matchup proof. When you start getting further along in the draft, I think that at least from my perspective, that comes into some consideration in terms of who you're taking. But when you're talking about the guys at the level that we're talking about in the first few rounds, it doesn't really matter as far as I'm concerned in terms of who they're going to be facing.
Let me get everybody back to the draft board. There's just a ton of yellow being starting pitchers. They are flying. This looks like a main event board or one of these battle of the podcast drafts that are just wars of attrition. So I left you at Bueller where Nick just left off, paired him with Trey Turner. We had Brandon Woodruff get paired with Yelich, a little Brew Crew action. Kershaw gets paired with Betts, a little Dodger action. Flaherty goes with Tatis, Bo Bichette to Acuna, Manny Machado to Trout, Gallen to Soto. They just added Bogarts. Not worried about the shoulder, apparently. I'm really not. He's supposed to be in the field tomorrow. I'd like to see him maybe take a diving stop first. On the turn, we had Jacob deGrom, who went first, then wrap with Rendon and George Springer. I absolutely love that. Oh, man, there's so many smart people in the room. Matt, talk to me, man. I'm going to go back around the horn. Something I've had to do, me and you in that same position, where if you draft early and start with a hitter in the first round, aces can go. You had to settle with Gallen as your ace. Sell us all on Zach Gallen.
You say settle for Gallen?
No. Sell us on Gallen because, listen, again, I think the same thing goes for Gallen, but even more so. He's got to go to LA and San Diego. I mean, listen, we cannot just brush off the level of competition here. I mean, I am a professional handicapper. I see all these games and what the odds makers think. You're going to be underdogs. You know what I mean? It's not.
I don't care. This is no wins. I don't care. Zach Gallen's a quality start machine. He literally is. He is a machine who prints money as far as quality starts go. So I don't care if he wins a single game. He's probably going to get me a quality start in most of them. So it's in this format we're doing. Literally, I don't care.
All right, quick, Bo. If it were Roto, how do you feel about him in Roto? Standard 5x5. As an ace.
Literally same thing.
Yeah.
I mean, this is where he's going to go. I mean, I think that he was the last guy. I mean, I feel I was lucky to get him the way when Castillo, Bueller, Woodruff, Kershaw, Flaherty. I thought for sure that if Gallen didn't follow me, I don't know if I really felt like reaching for my next pick there. So I was pretty happy. Like Lance Lynn just goes off the board. I definitely wouldn't have been – I mean, this isn't a shot at the Lynn pick, especially in quality start, but I would have been too happy to have to reach there for my first pitcher in the second.
Mike, Simeone, you're a bit of a pitcher guy, right? You have it in your handle. You know something about these things. In 5x5 standard Roto, can we rely on Zach Gallen as an ace at the turn? Now, in particular, with the way Max Scherzer has been looking on the bump, he looks awesome. So where he had maybe gotten passed at the turn, I think he gets, taken in the second now the same way he did. I don't know where in the second he's going, but I think he's going in the second before the turn. So can we rely on Gallen in a standard 5x5? I think Maddie really nailed it in quality start. Being able to ignore the Diamondbacks is a huge plus. But talk to us about standard 5 and Gallen.
I mean, I just love Gallen overall anyway. I think he had one of the toughest schedules last season, and he handled it pretty fine. So, I mean, I'm not too worried about it from that aspect. I mean, deep arsenal, the guy's really good. I mean, he's pretty flawless. I guess, I mean, I don't know off the top of my head how many innings he's done in a season. I don't know, like how many innings he's going to get next year.
I think he's a horse. I think he's going. I think he's going all the way.
I think I'd be okay with him as my SP1.
All right, now let me kick it around. Let me get Mimi back in here. Talk to me the same thing. Maybe if it's not so much Gallen, but I want to hear. Talk to the people that are seeing these draft boards and maybe putting themselves in the position and saying, "Oh man." Okay, so Andrew is not in this room, but Mimi, could you see yourself in a position where you are through 3 rounds without a pitcher?
You're gonna be struggling, not struggling, but you're not gonna have that ace. You're gonna have to rely on multiple mid-tier arms at some point, probably the next couple rounds. My philosophy is I want to at least get one more big arm, at least in the first 3 rounds, have at least a semi-good ace. I was hoping at least Jack or Kershaw were gonna slip to me in those last 2 picks.
All right, yes, I mean it really feels that way. But I'm the same way. I'm not going to let the board or the room kind of push me around. That's not happening. If my guy is not there, I'm not going to go that way. to the point I was saying with Gallon, I know it didn't sound that way, but I'm just here because I'm here to push back on all you guys. That's what everyone wants me to do because I ain't afraid, right? So that's what we're here to do is get that healthy debate going on. I like Gallon as an ace. I think he's an ace. I think you guys might have undersold him. But
you got the humidor.
Because that's the pushback I've heard. We just got joined by Triple Play member Dave Mendy. I was just mentioning you before. I'm actually one of your new fans. I caught you on Sleeper in the Boss, really digging what you're doing. Dave, introduce yourself briefly, and then pick up the question we're talking about. Do you think you can get through 3 rounds of a competitive 15-team Roto League without a starting pitcher?
First, I appreciate the compliments, man. You're making me blush on camera right now. But to answer your question, man, I get agita if I don't get a pitcher in the first 3 rounds. Yeah, it's one of those things that if I miss out on these runs, I don't think that's not me. I don't think.
No, it's not you.
Scared me for a second.
that thing is scary, man.
Yeah, I try. Well, I like doing pocket aces when I can, but I definitely won't go 3 rounds without one because you guys know obviously if you don't have stability at the top of your rotation with pitching, it can just mess up so many things with your ratios. And I like having at least one option up there that I know I can trust that can try to stabilize the rest of my rotation.
Okay, so now I have the obvious counter for you, Dave. The obvious counter is, all right, so you've said you need the pitcher, but your pitchers are gone. So are you willing to really sacrifice, meaning, are you really, really willing to step that far outside of ADP to fulfill a position requirement, let's say?
If I really believe in the guy, yes. I'm not going to pick a pitcher just because he's ranked up there if I don't believe that he can be an ace and I think that he's just ADP's there and I'm not going to take that. Then I'll zig while everybody's zagging and then hope that I can just trust myself throughout the waiver wire process and hitting on guys later on. Like if I'm big on Aaron Savale, as I know many other people are. So if that's the case, I may make sure that I jump 2 rounds to get Aaron Savale.
Yeah, I want to kick it over, especially he's got a bit before he goes again. Speaking of not having a pitcher in the first 2 rounds, I've had the honor and the pleasure of working with Matt here. And Matt, could you bless us with this strategy you were talking about? Are you opening up the vest to show everybody the king strategy? Are we letting that out of the bag yet? Because you hit me with that where I was kind of in accordance with everyone here that the idea of not having a pitcher through 3 petrified me, and you kind of sold me on the idea that it was okay. You want to take that from here?
The 4. Are you talking about the 4 king strategy?
Oh yeah, it doesn't necessarily have to be that. That happened to be the thing that compelled me.
Yeah,
but I'm just talking about attacking a draft board in a year where it seems like across the board, the very smart people seem to agree you need a pitcher. Hence, that push-up. However,
it doesn't. You don't need a pitcher early. It just takes the pressure off, which is really important. In this league in particular, I don't think it matters as much to go as heavy because a pitcher being like on a good team, like in racking up wins, like Trevor Bauer, it kind of takes. I mean, not that you should be taken much later, but like players on crappy teams like the Orioles and like Kyle Davies, someone who's like really, really efficient. He gets like a bump in leagues like this. So you can piece together stuff like that. But yeah, I don't think you necessarily have to. If you should never, I don't ever like to reach. So if value falls to you on offense, take it. And then you might have to be a little riskier. Like maybe you go like with Baeta, Burns, pitchers that are really high upside that people have a problem with. And then you might have to like augment that with like Sandy Alcantara or, like Marcus Stroman, something like that later. So I certainly think there's a path to ignoring pitchers early if you have offensive value fall in your lap. And I know I keep saying value, it's probably Trigger and Rob. But
all good.
No, what I mean is if you're by your own evaluations, if there's a hitter on the board that you feel should have went a long time ago, you don't have to reach for a pitcher. Like, it depends on how comfortable you are with the board. But there's a lot of interesting names in like that second tier.
Matt, I was looking at my phone real quick, and it's a little blurry. Could you zoom us one more time? Because I like having the faces on the side. So I'd like.
This is just the tab. I have no control over how big that is, for the record.
No, you can't zoom on that for us?
No, it's just the tab on StreamYard. It's just my tab. That's all it is.
Wow, I thought it was a Chrome tab of yours that you could blow up.
No, it just is what it is. Oh. I have it minimized, so if it doesn't, it just shows the tab.
I mean, it's all right. I can kind of read it. It's all right. Let me kick it over. We were talking about not having pitchers in the front. When we are talking about having pitchers in the front, one of the people I think about, Rob, Deadpool up, man. Dude, I know I know you like to have pitching in the front, but I also know you're very flexible in your strategy. So talk to us about a situation where, let's say your guys are not there, or you have a partner that says no pitchers up early. Do you think you can get it done?
I think I could get it done. I mean, I know it's a different format, but in my DC win last year, I didn't pick a pitch until the 5th and then the 7th. You know, so I know I was a short year, but still, it's I think you just got to have two guys that can really give you length and K upside. Like last year, I happened to get Bauer and Lynn in 5 and 7, you know, and I felt those two guys could be horses, you know, because obviously I drafted before the stoppage. So I was thinking about them getting, you know, the 200 innings and building a base and building offense first. So, yeah, I think there's a path to it. I think you just got to know, you got to do your evaluation. You got to find, like, when it's your pick in that 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th round, you know, sometimes you got to bypass the next ranked player versus, you know, what the drop-offs may be, the other spots, you know, or how the draft board's going. You know, and I'm sure anyone knows it in here. It's like a lot of intuition too, right? You know, that gut flow. You just gotta, you know, you do your prep and you step into the draft room and you just got to be able to bend wherever the draft's taking you.
All right, we've had a couple new people hop in. Zach Braff up in the house. What's up, Zach? It's nice to meet you. I've seen you on Twitter before. Where everyone find your work, follow you on Twitter. And I see your start looks like Ronald Acuna Jr. Some people would be doing backflips for him at 4. You paired him with Bo Bichette. Man, I was hoping we could start off on a good note. I'm a little worried about the speed there. But if you have Acuna, I think, you know, his questions answered. But that's been my problem with Bichette. I don't know. I don't even know if I'm right. I very well could be wrong. So, Zach, where can everyone find you, man?
First of all, what's going on, John? Nice to finally meet you. What's going on, everybody? Good to see everybody.
I like the shirt.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah, nice.
Repping it for you guys. But yeah, you can find me over on the Bases Loaded Pod, Exit Velo Pod, and you can find me on a Mets-based podcast and a new blog, Mets Baseball Carnival. But yeah, you guys were kind of talking about the pitching and possibly not taking a pitcher through 3 rounds, and that kind of described my situation right there. I really did not want to get stuck with like Ryu or somebody as my ace. And I kind of felt like maybe I reached for Lance Lynn a little bit, although I really like him in the quality start format. But I was leaning between him and DJ LeMahieu, and I think DJ ended up going right after me. So I was kind of doubting that pick for a second. But overall, I'm kind of glad that I ended up taking the pitcher because I honestly have no idea what I would have been left with, because I feel like you guys are all just going to take all the pitchers on the next 2 rounds there.
By the way, I said earlier that I think I mentioned the Lynn pick. I didn't mean to bash it. It was more I was happy. Okay. It was more like I'm happy I got Gallen, because I think if he didn't, I would have had to have taken a pitcher like you did. Like I think you made the right move, but I wouldn't have been like happy about it.
Well,
yeah, that's exactly how I feel. Not thrilled about it, but just kind of did what I had to do.
Yeah, let me get back on that board just for a second. We'll get back to you. Hold on. We left off at Rendon and Springer on the turn. Then it just went it's a rainbow there, except for Lynn. It went all bad. Save the bow where it's actually where we left off. Then it went Kyle Tucker. He got paired by Andrew with Mike Trout and Manny Machado. Super strong. He's without a pitcher. Going to be really interesting to see. That's a team I have my eye on. I personally don't know Andrew, but I know I'm looking for that because I'm always curious to see people kind of traverse these problems in ways that I have not myself. After Lynn went LeMahieu, Eloy Jimenez got paired with Betts and Kershaw. You know, I'm worrying about the steals there already. I'm not a big Eloy guy in general. The next person I kick it to, I'd like to talk about Eloy maybe. He's kind of polarizing. I seem to be the low man on him. So let's get Joel back in. Joel, I don't know, you an Eloy Jimenez guy? Everyone seems to love him. I don't understand where the expectations for this home runs are with all the ground balls. Talk to us, man.
Yeah, no, I'm not an Eloy fan. I've never been in on Eli. I usually am going pitcher around where he's going, so I tend to pass. Excuse me. Yeah, my connection is crappy right now. Sorry, give me 1 second.
It's okay. In the meantime, we just got a new person, Joel. You're going to be right up next. I got Callan in the house. He just stepped up into the backstage. What's going on, Callan? It's nice to meet you. Where can everyone follow your work? Which team are you? Oh, I see you. I'm sorry. I see you right there. You're at 15, 14, 13. Number 12, you started with Story, Darvish, Bregman, Alonso. Talk to me about Alex Bregman. He's going to see his first action tomorrow, so I'm guessing you're not worried. You see him as a total value, and do you think he could return to that MVP type status?
First off, thanks for having me. I'm really excited to be here. I've got no concerns with Alex Bregman. I know he's going to play tomorrow. I think in the OBP format, he's always been known for his eye, whether it's camera assisted or not. We still draw his walks. He's a good OBP value. So I think in the third round, getting him is a real good value for me. So I'm excited to have him.
Yeah, there's a lot of nice teams kind of forming. Let me pick back up where I had left off. Was at Eloy to Corey. So you know what? Actually, you can give me a show of hands. Are there any big Eloy guys? Can I get a defender? Are there any? Who's the big Eloy guy? Who's high in Eloy? Rod Scratch and maybe kind of not so much. See, I don't know. Maybe I'm not the one man.
I do agree with you, John, and I feel like that he does fall a little short in that elevation power metric basket. Like, I think like he falls more in line with expected range. Like, it's just not as high as I think everyone thinks it is. But he obviously had the skills to be definitely prove me wrong. So, but I don't know.
Okay, hold on. But in your answer, you brought up a great point. Let me get to SB Streamer. We haven't heard from Mikey. And actually, hold on. He's on the clock. We'll get to him next. Let me go back to you. I want to ask about this. We're talking about development here, and it doesn't have to be Eloy. It could be Kyle Tucker. It could be Luis Robert. And what I'm interested in is the growth, right? How about Vlad Guerrero? He's another very good one because we haven't really seen the expectations, but people are paying for it. What's your stance on just that, paying for the growth before we see it? Nick.
It's like, who's he asking?
Well, no, I jumped off you, Nick. I jumped off you, Mike, too, Nick, because you were on the clock.
Yeah, sorry about that.
No, that's fine. That's me. It's me.
I went Snell there. I was actually looking at Meta, but he went Snell. I'm not too worried about. Again, I'm staying in the NL West here, so I'm I guess rolling the dice with regard to who these pitchers are going to be pitching against. But yeah, Snell in a quality start league, a little bit questionable, but I have faith that they're going to be using Snell a little bit differently than the Rays did. So not as concerned this year with the quality starts. I have Snell actually in a dynasty quality start league, and he hurt me last year, but I have confidence that he should be able to produce in that regard.
All right, Mendy, you're next, man. Talk to me about growth. I'm not going to put you in the corner and make you tell me that growth is linear. We all know it's not. But what I want to hear from you is,
who's making that noise? Please turn off your microphone. It sounds like you're drinking a Slurpee. Stop
it. Somebody's moving something around. I don't know. It's not me.
Yeah, who's that? It's funny.
If you don't have a mic, mute yourself.
Yeah. No, he's right, guys. There's a lot of people hopefully going to listen to this. Anyway, okay, let's get back on track. Mendy, you heard the question. Linear growth, where to invest in it, and how much you need to see before you invest in it.
It kind of depends on the player. There are some players that I don't necessarily need to see quite as much that I'm buying into what I'm seeing. You talked about Vlad, for example, and he's someone I wrote an article up this off season, and how much though correlating his increase in his numbers overall were just so much better with the weight loss going on throughout the season. He didn't just lose the weight when the season ended. He was losing the weight throughout the season, and you saw that in his production. And then you read that he's also kind of not necessarily jealous, but he sees his peers, Juan Soto, Fernando Tatis Jr., and he had mentioned this was kind of the first time in his life that he's actually actively been working to try to get better, having them push him. So I see things like that, and that type of stuff kind of encourages me when you have that type of talent as a base of a floor. And then this is the kind of, when I'm looking more into his numbers and seeing that change, I'm not necessarily seeing it in his analytics as much, but I'm seeing it kind of, this is someone that seems like he's actively trying to be a better player. And he already hit the ball hard as it is. It was just
hold on. Can we infer that, are you talking about Vlad Guerrero right now? Are you, is that where this is going?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Like
I'm a big Vladdy guy this year. I mean, it may bite me in the butt, but I'm buying it this year.
Give me a price range. Give me the price range.
I would take him in I saw him actually go in the Barf League. He actually went in the last pick in the third round to Matty Wood. And that might be a little more rich than I would want to spend, but I would definitely use a 4th-round pick on him, depending on the right spot.
All right, let me hop back at this board. Like I said, a lot of bats went after Eloy. It was Seager, Jose Abreu, Tim Anderson, Marcel Ozuna, Albies, Bregman, Burns. Arozarena fell to the back of the 3rd. On the wrap was Devers and Merrifield. Mendy, nice build, kind of sneaky. If I'm into the wheel this year, it feels like a lot of stuff kind of falls there. Devers definitely checks that box for me. Just 18 months ago, we were talking about this guy having MVP upside. Then around I went to Adalberto Mondesi. He got paired with a Arozarena, Bryce Harper, and Aaronola. Very strong. Going to need a little more arms. Curious to see where that goes. Nolan Arenado, Pete Alonso, Luis Robert, Kenta Maeda, Ketel Marte, Snell, Glasnow. Let's see. I did want to get to Simeone because, Mike, every time I call you, you seem to be on the clock. I'm having trouble reading the names, my bad vision, and it's a little small. So, Simeone, talk about Luis Robert. I'm into this polarizing player thing. It seems to be the hit on, like the big thing on Twitter. And Robert is one of those guys. People think he's like MVP caliber, and other people think he's still a year and a half away from being a top 50 overall bat. Talk to us about Robert, please.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the strikeouts are the problem. He basically had 2 different the 2 different months in performance. It's just too small. Oh my God. Rob, mute your freaking your volume, will you?
All right, bro. Sorry, man.
You're scaring the children.
Yeah, so I mean, he's just too risky. He's someone who's too risky for me to touch that early, personally.
Yeah, I've been kind of caught on him. I think I was making the excuse that I wasn't drafting him because of lineup placement, and now I'm not even sure if that's the case anymore. So I don't really know. I know the talent is there, Matt. I lost the draft board.
Probably for the best.
Why do you say that? You just
leave it up there like we're just there. We have a talking computer screen.
I think that's what that's what I would want to see. I don't want to see your mugs. I want to see the draft board. And I want to see
why are we doing a live stream?
I want to see what these smart people. I want to see. Well, it's a live stream because it's happening right now. Talk to me about Kyle Hendricks. Well, you're actually on the clock. I'm gonna have to figure it out. Back on the horn. How about Callan? I haven't heard from you in a little bit. Let me see this team. All right, you got Story, Darvish, Bregman, and Alonso. Do you feel light on speed, Callan, or do you think it's available later on without making too many sacrifices?
I feel a little light on speed. I think it's something I'm going to have to address later, but I do think there are certain values later in the draft I can get to make up speed, so I'm not feeling panicky, and at least in a single league, I don't have to worry too much. I don't usually punt categories, but I really have to. I would punt it if I really had to.
John, you ever used StreamYard before?
It's now the second. This is the second time. But I can't. The problem is this is not so much my fault. I can't get access to the draft board, or I'd be sharing it myself, and you'd be able to read it. Matt is kind of where you proxying his board.
You should just make it big and have all our faces like tiny on the sides.
Okay, we could go for that too. I had that before, but every time I do that, but it shrinks the board. It makes it unreadable. So
you can read that.
No, I can't read that.
I can't.
Mine is coming in really. Yeah, I even checked on my phone. I can check again. Listen, if I could read it, I would. There we go. I'll dig on that. The last team's a little cut off, but all right. Let's dig back into it. Matt, you just went. I was going to kick it to you anyway. You went with Kyle Hendricks. It seems like you read the rules pretty carefully, looking at QS, and then you got Liam Hendricks. He went right after Hader. So I think this is an interesting talk for people. Matt, who's the RP1?
It's a coin flip. I'd rather have Hendricks of the two. I have shares of both, only because Hader, whatever, it's 30 innings last year. We saw a little bit of a rough patch, and he's getting lit up early, but it's not enough for me to care. So if I'm flipping a coin, I'll take Hendricks, but I mean, they're the 1 and 2.
Yeah, anyone else? Anyone want to? How about a show of hand? I want to take the interest here rather than me kind of calling people while it's your turn and I don't know it. Anybody want to take the number 1 RP? I've really heard some mixes here. I've heard some interesting mixes aside from the skill argument. People saying that Hader is even going to get you wins and stuff. And then I've heard, I think it was me, say, when Devin Williams is there, maybe he's the multi-inning kind of fireman guy, and maybe that makes Hader the RP1, right? If he gets a full complement of saves, does that make him the number one RP? How about you, Mimmy? Haven't heard from you, man.
Yeah, I'm a big Devin Williams fan. I have a lot of shares of him, maybe too many shares. So I'm really hoping he takes over the job at some point. I got him in TGFBI. I think Raz Slam I might have took him. And I'm really hoping he just slips up on him on the clock. I think he slips a little more, but I know Hader got roughed up in one of his first outings. I personally go with Hendricks as my RP1, but that's just me.
Yeah,
I agree with that.
Yeah, I'm a little more conventional, and I think that's what it is. But man, Hader has that good stuff, although he's been worrying me a bit with the home runs. All right, after that went Aaron Judge to Andrew, who had Trout and Tucker paired with Machado and Ryu. Aaron Judge is another polarizing guy, right? I guess that's kind of a running theme again. Zach, talking to me about Aaron Judge, I'm a Yankee guy. I mean, I obviously know I love him, and he's awesome, but Yankees are going at such a discount. Maybe we can even gear the conversation there. Are the Yankees priced correctly? Is Judge a discount where he's going? Zach, are the Yankees a discount?
Is this me? Oh, I didn't take Judge, but personally, Judge is not on my draft board pretty much ever. Who did I take instead? I took Trent Grisham. I'm not gonna lie, I'm really shaken up in this draft right now because I've been sniped about 4 times. And I am not happy about it. I was sniped on Biggio, I was sniped on Hader and Hendricks, and then somebody else.
Well,
and,
I have to chime in. It's hard to think you got sniped when you wound up with Michael Conforto, who's really an elite player in an OBP format. So
yeah, love him in OBP. Although I feel like every time I take a Met, it's just a homer pick, and I just get shit for it. But
I would have taken Conforto if he fell to me.
Yeah, I actually have had this conversation with Matt a few times. It's funny to have it. He's like super analytical, and he's asking me, "Is this a homer thing?" No, Michael Conforto is awesome, and I think the best and healthy season might be yet to come, which is pretty great. I wanted to get to Simeone, but he's up in two.
I didn't even write him down on my list because I knew Matt right in front of me would hit him. I knew if Matt, if it gets to Matt, he'd definitely take him. So I didn't even put him in my little decision tree where I have every round 4 or 5 guys. I didn't even put him there. I'm like, it's not happening.
There's too many Met fans in this group.
I don't draft. It's funny. I never draft the Mets. I have no Conforto shares this year. I have 0. There's always someone who likes him for some reason a bit more. I've seen him go in the 3rd or 4th round in some of these leagues. It's crazy.
This is the perfect format for him.
I mean, I've seen him not even OBP. I've seen him the NFBC. There was who was with me. I know someone brought it up. Someone from the Battle of the Podcast chat. He was drafted in the 3rd or 4th and just a standard roto. Someone really set the min on him recently.
I'm sorry to backtrack a little bit, Rob. I didn't notice that you were team 1. You were the person I would have asked. I want to know your take since you did make the decision. Give us Hader over Hendricks. I think this is a really good one for people.
I don't know. Even in his rough outings, I mean, he had one outing last year with 5 walks, and there was another one with 4 runs. You take those away, and he was just pretty much unhittable. I just feel like he's younger. There's some little, who knows, little nuggets, about guys signing their first contract on new teams, just stuff like that for Hendricks. So I took that into account a little bit. And I just think in general that has a chance to give me more length too. If he doesn't become that, full-time save guy, I think he'll get enough plus, 90 innings of dominance, maybe 100.
Yeah, I think, wow, that man, if I could get those inning projections, I think I would definitely have them.
But that's why I'll take his minimum, his 80th percent, at 5. But obviously, I think if I get the high end, I think it's a great pick right there. I think both closers are good shots right there. That's probably right around their value right there, 100%.
Okay, Mikey Simeone just went. His last, I actually want to hear about both of these picks, Mike. Both are guys I'm into that I really wasn't on last year. They're both coming at a really nice discount. Mike, you got Ketel Marte and Austin Meadows back to back. I think obviously with me if you picked them. talk to me about Marte. People are really down on him this year.
Are they?
Yeah, look at him. Hold on. Look at the draft price. He was going at the beginning of the second round last year.
I think the average comes back. I think there's still power there. You know, his max exit velo has always been consistent. I think he's been towards the top like this whole entire spring training too. So I think he's going to give you a little bit of everything, which is what I'm looking for here. And that's why I want Meadows as well, because I want to try and find guys who are going to give me, you know, some homers, some bags, and aren't going to kill you, I guess, in the OBP category, even though in my brain I'm still thinking average for some reason. So I mean, that's just what I'm trying to do here, because I feel like you can find power late. So I tend to go lean towards these type of players, really.
Yeah, I think the balance is there also. That's really what I've been into with him as well. And I think Meadows is a tremendous bounce back candidate. Yeah. You know, with these guys fully healthy,
since he had the COVID, and
it's very hard to punish these guys for that. Joel, you just picked. Oh, I think we lost him actually. All right, Calvin, you just picked with Carrasco. There's another polarizing pick. Talk to us about Carrasco. Apparently, you're not worried.
No, I know he's usually good for innings, and I think that if he's healthy, which of course is an if, but I have a stable start with you, Darvish, that he's going to go to innings. The Mets are going to let him work. So he's on the final year of his deal. I think he'll be fine. He has the track record that I like to see, and it's good for strikeouts. I think that as long as he's healthy, he's good for a quality start for the most part. So
yeah, that news terrifies so many of us.
It's concerning for sure,
including myself and Dave, the baseball dinosaur. I know is shaking right now. The Rotosaurs are going to have no nose. You know, if they see you sneeze, you're off the draft list. But listen, it's not even so much for me if it works or if it doesn't work. For me, I've always just been more about creating a proactive plan and then trying to execute it.
You know what, John? There is a proactive plan with that pick, and I think anyone who read the rules kind of knows what it is. And I'm not going to say it unless everyone can give me like a nod. Oh, I do.
All right. I'm not going to get torched for sharing, war room secrets.
Are you referring to the COVID rule?
Oh, I don't even want to know, people. I don't know, nor do I want to know. I'm taking the fifth. All right, back to the draft board. Where I had left off with Judge. We went to Trent Grisham, Zach Plesac, Gleyber Torres. All right, I love Gleyber Torres. Are there any other Yankee fans in the house? Maybe one. All right, Mimi, you have it right now. I'm back on the train. Humongous, man. Am I a homer? Be honest with me.
For Gleyber, I just bought him in a keeper league. I'm all in on him this year. Mm-hmm. I take no stock in what he did last year. I think this year, if that lineup, you know as well as I do, if Stanton can stay healthy for more than an inning, and if Judge can play more than a game, that's a dangerous lineup, and he's just going to benefit all those two.
Yeah, I absolutely love that. The pick after him was actually Eugenio Suarez, who apparently will be playing shortstop tomorrow. That's pretty awesome. Matty Williams, does it even matter for a guy like that if he gains shortstop eligibility, given that shortstop is so deep? And he's not a guy that you were taking for a CIMI spot anyway. So I kind of got excited when I saw Suarez was going to play short. Does it even matter to you?
Not really. It's the same thing as like if Brandon Lau gets third. You're playing him at second anyway, so I don't know.
Yeah, right. That's a pretty good point.
The more positions, the better. Bring him on, but yeah, it doesn't matter much.
Yeah. I agree with you there. Yeah, Mike, go ahead, streamer, go ahead.
Nah, Mendy just sniped me on Rizzo. I was hoping to make it back to me.
Okay, I'm going to throw him out of the room. Back to the board. It was Suarez, who I love. You know what I was hoping you were going to say, Mike, when I kicked it to you about Ketel Marte? I have been finding personally, oh man, my work has been aligning with Derek Hardy and his bat X, even more so than his bat. It now incorporates a lot of StatCast data, which I also do. And look, bing, bang, boom, our work is now almost fully in line. Even if the numbers are not in line, positionally, my personal ranks and the bat X ranks are very similar. Ketel Marte is a player that it absolutely loves. So like that's where I've
love Suarez too.
That's where I was going, Mikey. That's where I was going.
Suarez. He's like the best player in the league.
Yeah.
It has Suarez as like a first round return, people. So don't know how you use projections. I generally use them against people. These just happen to line up with mine, so that doesn't make them right or wrong. But if you heard Derek on Cork Stats, he did say the testing on BatX has been pretty thorough, and it has basically beaten the bat across the board, and he believes that we'll end up with a single one, and it will be like the BatX.
It's great. So, it's great. I don't think a lot of people know about EV analytics and getting like an actual
dude. It's awesome.
Just the Batcast too, like the one that's just Batcast, and it's just cool to just take a look at it. And I love how he layers all the basket of launch angle, and he explained in the glossary like why when it's hitting at this launch angle, the expected WOBA, the expected fly, home run to fly ball percentage, all that stuff. And I think it's a pretty invaluable tool if anyone's not looking at that. It's just
I will say one thing about the BatX is I believe it has CJ Cron having a better season than Nolan Arenado.
He will.
I mean, listen,
Wow.
Coors will do that, man, right? Coors will do kind of crazy stuff for you. Back to the board. It went Brandon Lowe, Austin Meadows, Voit, Vlad Guerrero finally went end of the fifth. I mean, I think now we're talking. Had been seeing Guerrero going before Alonso and before Voit. I'm a bit worried about the foot for Voit. Mendy, is that you who just picked? Dave, is that you? Is he Fantasy Logician?
No, I'm Team Mendy.
Oh, where is that? Is that man? I can't read the top line, guys. I'm sorry. That's why I'm.
There's also a team cropped out of that share. Like
it's Mendy.
Oh,
yeah,
I don't forget about. Okay. Oh, there's my answer. I'm like squinting and looking. It's not there. There he is. Okay,
there we go.
Let's take a look at your team, Dave, because it wasn't on the board. So we're going to catch people all the way up with you. Then I want to kick it to you and how you see the battlefield developing. You went pocket aces, Giolito and Bauer, then to Devers, Merrifield, Nelson Cruz, who I love, Anthony Rizzo. Nelson Cruz is where I want to talk to, guys. Next conversation coming is this UT grouping. Matt, that looks perfect, actually. Best it's been. Thank you. The UT grouping, you went with Nelson Cruz first. Could you tell us why it was Cruz over Martinez, over Stanton, over Alvarez, who finally, like the Sasquatch, we finally now have photographs of him running. So people, that's happening. He's going. Listen, I'm like every day. I'm like, he feels great. He's going to run at full speed. He ran at full speed. When? Where is TMZ? Anyway, Mendy, talk to me without mentioning TMZ about the UT.
I love you hosting. Honestly, it comes down to just he's got the less risk at this spot. Nelson Cruz, you can just plug him in. He's hitting 30 bombs guaranteed, and he's pretty much healthy most years too. I mean, if you look at all the other guys, I love JD Martinez, and I'm really buying back into him with the video he's going to have access to this year. But if you give me the choice between Cruz and Martinez, I'm always going to go Cruz.
I want to take this one all the way around the horn. I want to hear from everybody on this. This topic is on a lot of people's minds. As we know, UT can choke up the lineup a bit. I'm wondering to hear if that's part of the calculus, right? JD Martinez probably going to get outfield. Jordan Alvarez is saying he's going to play first and the outfield. He said he's never felt better. I mean, the news is just crazy coming out of Houston right now. Knocked 3 times in the garbage pail if you love him. All right, so Nick, you're up next. Talk to us about the UT group.
I mean, it's I basically I don't really focus on I focus on guys that are going to give me position eligibility. I generally pass on guys that aren't going to get on the field. Having said that, if somebody's sitting there at my pick and it appears that it's good value, I'll take them. But generally speaking, I try to always take somebody that's going to give me good position eligibility, and I tend to steer away from the guys that aren't going to get on the field.
Yeah, not taking UT is a viable strategy in its own. I didn't mean to pigeonhole you if you felt that way, that I was trying to make you give the answer. I want to keep going literally all the way around. If you guys see it that way, Mimi, you're up next, man. Simeone, you're on deck. You're going to be going after you're on deck for the clock. You're on the clock and you're on deck at the same time. Mimi, take it on the UT guys.
Simeone. God damn you.
I love the Jordan conversation. Who wants to play first base? That's awesome. That's going to skyrocket.
No, that's what he said. Yeah, I'm not making that up. That's what they're saying.
No,
yeah.
I saw the same thing. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, he wants to play first. He wants to play outfield. Throw him in there. That's phenomenal. And then DH him the rest of the way. Keep him healthy.
Now, what about those guys? Are there any that stick out for you? Any that stand out? Any you must have? Any you must, leave?
Same thing. I'm going back to the Jordan conversation. He's probably the top of my list for there. I mean, we know JD's going to hit 30 bombs. We know Nelson Cruz. I mean, he's 50 years old and he's still going to crack out 100 home runs. But no, I like Jordan Alvarez at a bunch. I think his ceiling is sky high right now.
Simeone, you're up, man. If you want, you can rank them. Tell us how you approach UT. Listen, guys, take the floor. We got plenty of time.
I don't like going after UT guys. I prefer the flexibility. Kind of like someone before me said, but I was like picking, so I couldn't see who was talking. I prefer that. I usually don't touch them, honestly. I haven't touched Cruz for years, which hasn't worked out. I keep thinking the cliff's going to come, but obviously that's not happening. And I mean, Alvarez, I won't touch because I just don't trust someone who doesn't have two working knees personally.
Yeah, see, for me, it's funny. You all
do it.
Points, and they're all valid.
Bold strategy, Cotton.
Yeah, I think for me, I think I need at least the promise of adding the position. So I think this year, where I think Cruz is a no, but I can see Jordan or Stanton finding their way into my heart because I do think they'll get the outfield. Deadpool, go ahead. Talk to us about the UT spot. I'm actually, for all the listening I've done to your stuff, I don't remember you talking about this, so I'm curious.
So what I have to say is that this format has two UTs. So I feel like it allows you, it doesn't get you as sucked in, as locked in. You're not locking in one position. So I think to get a guy like Cruz is huge in this league. I was considering honestly taking him where I took Josh Hader, because that's how high I had him in my evaluation for this league. So and I felt like with the two UTs, there's perfectly nothing wrong with setting a guy in who's could be a stud. I wouldn't pick Jordan, but Cruz and JD.
Could you rank the four? Cruz, JD, Stanton, and Jordan.
I think I go Cruz, Martinez, Stanton, and Jordan.
Okay, Maddie, same thing. Rank them. Give us UT strategy. You know the deal. I don't have to tell you how to be awesome at this.
In this format with two UTs, they don't scare me at all. Otherwise, I don't draft them. Just don't bother. I would draft Jordan, wait out in front. I'm not drafting them, so I mean, grain of salt with my answer. If I was going to draft them, I would go full ceiling and go for Jordan, but I'm not taking them. But then I'd go JD Martinez, then Cruz, then a distant fourth.
So Matt, let me ask you. So that means you're not buying the news. And I know that you love the skill, so you're not buying the health. You don't think even as a mostly DH, you don't think Alvarez could give us, man, how much does he need to pay his price? 500 plate appearances should do it.
Well, I said I draft him first of the group, but it's tough. Hey, I didn't say I wasn't taking him here. To me.
Right.
But no, I mean in a traditional format, it's just I don't want to plug that up there just because there's too much risk with him for the guys that are going around him. There's plenty of other people I'd rather have, but yeah, I mean his ceiling is MVP of the league. That's how good of a hitter he is.
Yeah, that's what I wanted out of you. That's what I wanted out of you because you know what? Listen, I wear my mistakes totally on my sleeve. I wear those mistakes, and I was really unaware of Jordan Alvarez. I thought it was Kyle Tucker time, and Alvarez kind of blew past him. I had Victor Robles. I never heard of Juan Soto. So, I know one of my blind spots of these young guys, and you were kind of pointing him out to me. Man, he is a wrecking ball. Jordan Alvarez ceiling certainly is first-round return, and that says a lot for a guy that's not going to steal any bases. We got somebody new in the house. Ven Baseball is here. Ryan, I know I saw that one. So let's catch everyone up on Ryan's team. He's in the 14 hole. That's where I like to draft. Bryce Harper, Aaronola, that's kind of like a me start. Randy Arozarena, that's a little bit of me also. Adalberto Mondesi fell to the fourth, so you're looking pretty good with steals. Then to Chapman and Zach Wheeler. Ryan, I'm seeing quite a bit of balance. Two strong starters. Man, you got some steals. There's maybe average concerns. Tell everybody where they can follow your work, and then I want you to address some batting average, how you feel.
There's no average in this league.
Well, OBP, I think they might have the same. I think it might have the same kind of concerns, maybe minus Harper. Mondesi, there's an OBP question also.
Well, yeah, definitely.
And a Rosarena there might be. So you could still address OBP. Thank you. You are right. Because Harper is an elite OBP option, and he validates that first round pick. So, Ryan, where can everybody find you? Everybody mute your thing and go for it.
Freaking Rob.
Yeah, so my Twitter handle is Ven_baseball. I write for Next on Deck. Brand new website that me and my buddy Deegs that works for Prospects Live started. It's more dynasty focused, but we do everything. And then regarding my team, so in OBP, it's different than average to me because there's a lot of hitters that are going to give you OBP that you wouldn't draft in average leagues, like Muncy, Gallo. Hitters like that are a lot more appealing in OBP leagues.
Yeah, they're actually very valuable.
My thought was to get steals. My thought was to get steals early, and then there's plenty of OBP power hitters that I can get later in the draft.
Yeah. Listen, that's the point, and I think the overarching theme here, people, is read the rules. I know it sounds stupid. Everyone's like, "Oh, yeah, read the rules and take advantage of them." You'd be surprised. Alan, I kind of want to get back to the conversation we had before because it's one of the things I hear a ton about. People are wondering about these UTs, if they should draft them, where they should draft them, and what order they should draft them. Take us away.
Well, I actually took one of the UTs of JD Martinez, and partly it's because he does have outfield eligibility on Fantrax, so that's an added bonus. But I'm buying back into JD. Generally, I don't have any issue taking UTs. I think that though they do clog up the UT spot, and you can make up for a positional format. There's many guys late in the draft who have multi-position eligibility. There's guys around him who are going to gain multi-position. Vlad could get it, Hira could get it, etc. So I think you can make up the flexibility that you lose with one UT spot with taking one of the guys. I am full on buying back in JD Martinez now that he has the video back for this year. So I'm fully backing him. Cruz is consistent. I don't want to draft Yordan Alvarez because I'm the same thing as Mike, that I don't want to draft someone who has so much injury concern. Yordan, who we've seen one game so far play this spring training. So other than that, I have no problem with that. I think that they're just as valuable even if they do take up one spot.
Yeah, no, a lot of good points. I don't know if there's a definitive answer. I'm trying to kind of hack my way through this jungle myself. Zach, I haven't heard from you, man. Talk to us about the UT guys. And this has been great because everybody kind of has these different answers. And I think what we could take from that is, depending on your draft board, some of these guys absolutely might fall. Zach, go on the UTs.
Well, there's one just sitting out there right now, just kind of staring me in the face here. In Yordan.
Staring you right in the eyes.
Yeah. I typically don't like to do it either. What's that?
So what? I don't play the field. Draft me
I typically don't do it either, but if they continue to fall, then I just may have to snatch them up, and that may happen in the next two picks here. We'll see.
Yeah, well, again, smart people making great points. All right, I'm going to kick it back to you, Zach. Being malleable, you may go into something saying, I don't really want this guy. But if everybody has that attitude, they may fall to a point like, there is a point where certain Yankee sluggers can pay their way. They can pay that draft capital off with a half a season. So when it gets to that point, it's probably time to start thinking about them. You want to wrap up? I did jump in, Zach.
No, that was pretty much it here.
All right, let's go back to the draft board. No problem. So let's leave off we were at JD where Callan went. Then it went to Zach Greinke, Yoan Moncada. All right, polarizing player. Let me get someone. There has to be the big Yoan Moncada guy in the room. There's got to be one. Who wants to go pro Moncada? I personally have been worried. I understand he's under the COVID kind of subset of people we're excusing. However, the reversion we saw very much looked like the bad Moncada, before the breakout. And does he have any defenders here? There's got to be one Moncada guy in the room. Come on, somebody. Joel. Oh, we lost Joel. I would have him defend his own pick. Man, that'd be funny if there's this many people without a big Moncada fan. Maybe that explains the fall, and maybe maybe we're not wrong. Maybe he's on the fall side. I really thought somebody was going to kind of step up and get this guy's back.
And in a typical format, I'd be all over him. And I don't really, but on base percentage, I think that even though he stole a ton of bases in the minors, he still has yet to do it in the majors, so he's not giving you a huge boost there. He's in a monster lineup. In an OBP league, he really falls back to the pack.
Yep.
Even someone like there's some people significantly later that kind of will rival his production.
Yeah, let me ask you though, Matt. We have seen the very best of Yoan Moncada, and that player, I think, outperforms this draft cost even with OBP. Do you think we see him again?
Yeah, definitely. I think I threw out MVP upside with Jordan.
Yeah,
Moncada has it as well easily, and he's. He has the ability, he has the speed to be a first-round player. I doubt we ever see it. There's nothing to suggest that speed we saw in the minors is going to come out. But, yeah, absolutely. I think that he had that really high BABIP season a couple years ago, but that's because he hits the ball incredibly hard and he's incredibly fast. He has high BABIP skills. So I think he has the ability, like Tim Anderson, his teammate, to carry a high batting average due to an excessively high BABIP. So, yeah, I think that could definitely happen.
Yeah, I was off him when he first came up. I wasn't a big fan. I was kind of waiting to see it first. Then we saw it, and then we didn't. So in trading terms, we refer to that as getting whipsawed, meaning you're long and it goes down. You kind of throw your hands up and give up, and it rockets up. Sometimes you just don't have good timing with a vehicle. That's how I feel about Moncada. I think he's great. I just can't seem to time it properly. The next starter that went off the board is somebody I really love when I have starting questions. One of the first people I go to is Mike Simeone in the house. Mike, before you go, talk to me about Ian Anderson. There really is a pretty wide array of analysis on this guy, and it ranges from SP1, literal top 20, top 15 fantasy stud to he's being greatly overdrafted. You have either of those stances? Is there somewhere in the middle?
Yeah, I think he's being overdrafted. I don't think we're going to see the strikeouts that we saw from him. And that's just simply because I don't think he's going to get – he doesn't have, really good whiff pitches, in my opinion. I think the changeup overperformed. I don't see a lot of movement. I don't see a lot of tunneling there. So I think he's going to be – I think he still could be good, and he's going to be more so like a weak contact type of pitcher, in my opinion, not really the strikeout guy that he kind of was last year. So I think that's why he's kind of being overdrafted, because I think people – the thing is too with him though, he's young. We don't really know. Obviously there's there could be growth. He could develop another pitch, could develop more movement. It's tough to tell. But based off last season, I just think people are still they're assuming that the strikeouts are going to be there, and I'm not too sure about that.
Yeah, it's funny. I mentioned my blind spot for prospects. He was one of the ones I nailed. Eric Cross was very big on Anderson when he was first coming up, and I was the front man on him everywhere. And when you're like that, you're getting him in draft champions, and then you have him in keeper leagues and stuff. So he's really kind of paid the bill. So I'm riding what's already been windfall profits. But yeah, I think I'm with you. If I wasn't already on that, I don't know if I'm paying up for the ace. Where he's going here in the 6th feels like a fair price, especially if you already kind of have some strikeouts like you addressed. All right, let's get back into the board. We went to Matt Olson, Paul Goldschmidt, somebody who I had been off. Now I'm back on trying to get back into batting average. Jeff McNeil to Ian Anderson's mate, Max Fried, Jose Altuve, the second to last pick in the 6th. Now, dead pull hitter. I'm looking at you. The eye of Sauron is squarely on you. You went back to back with red suitcases.
Let's go.
Johnny Gray and Steven Strasburg. You have matching luggage. Tell me about the matching luggage and why you're giving me palpitations right now.
Because these guys are been going in the top 65, 70 all season. I'll take the 20 pick discount and hope I forget one of them healthy for the majority season. Big thing about this league, there's IL spots, Johnny. So you know what I'm saying? It's part of the strategy, so that's, not going to lie. If I could play that and even get I think even 120 good innings of Strasburg is still better than, a lot of the pitchers I like around this range. So,
well, Rob, let me tell you something from the bottom of my heart. I talk about Toby in the same light, that you guys make moves that I don't agree with, and I love every bit of it because I know that you guys come with good counters. I don't think I'm right. I just know that I kind of disagree with you.
No, there's a big. I know there's
hear from you so much.
Right?
Last thing on you, Rob, in particular, the last compliment is your projections are very fair. You know what I mean? Like, I've been hearing people at Strasburg, and they're still talking about 180. And I'm like, that ship has sailed, I think. Yeah. But you're talking about 120 effective innings. I think you're being fair. I think you're being rational. And I'm sure you have a plan. Like I said, that's why I really like to kick it to people. I'm not as worried about Gray, even though that's a back. He's had that before, and it has not been a big deal.
Yeah,
Strasburg is worrying me. I know it sounds weird. He has like a carpal tunnel, which is like hand and feeling, but I'm worried about this chain reaction. You know what I mean? Like butterfly effect. So that's what I think you did a good job.
This is normally not my like risk inheritance if I'm picking on a wheel and I have no IL and it's like a main event. I don't think I can go that route with taking 2 possible injured guys, but I'm just taking advantage of the setting and that's it. I feel like
read those rules, right?
Read the SP Streamer article. I get a couple fill-ins and that's it.
Yeah, if people are unfamiliar, unfamiliar with what Rob is referring to, in the NFBC format, not only is there a shallow bench, and it's funny because it's a very deep active roster with a very shallow bench, and there's no IL and there's no trading. So again, kind of knowing your format, I had a feeling there was something going on. I didn't know there were IL spots. All right, let me get back into the board. Jesus Luzardo went, man, another really polarizing guy. Although, you know what? Here we go. Here's our next topic, something I've had running on Cork Stats. We're going to go right around the horn with this one because this really applies. And where the UT thing, I shouldn't maybe have been dancing around players that are active on the board. This is more theoretical. So I'm going to start with you, Ryan. You had just went, so you probably have a second. Guys like Luzardo, who are thought of being impactful on a per-inning basis, but we're worried about the ceiling. I have, so kind of tongue-in-cheek, coined the term flattening of the IP curve, where we generally thought there'd be guys giving us 220, fewer at 210, fewer at 200, and then down the line, we don't think we're getting that. So that curve has been flattened. What I'm getting at in my long-winded way, as normal, is the curve is the disparity is tightening. Ryan, I'm going to come back to you, and we'll go to Cowan because you have 2 picks. Talk to me about these pitchers and they're bridging the gap. What I'm getting at is you maybe not needing 180 innings to be effective.
I'm gonna be honest. I missed the question because I was looking at my board.
It's okay. I know it's part of the live thing. I know I should really be starting maybe at the other side. You know what? I went to Rob. Let me go to Matt. I am just dying trying to read these things. I'm really doing the very best I can.
You're doing a great job, buddy.
I'm trying to.
Thank you for doing this, man. Yeah, I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it.
I beg for the draft board. Like if it's I thought it was NFBC. I begged Tom and Derek. They give me the link so I can see it crystal clear with one eye closed. So that's why you haven't seen me hitting the vape pen. I can't see it as it is. I'm definitely not going to risk seeing double. So Maddie, the theoretical to you is how do we change the values, if at all, of these pitchers we view as having lower IP ceilings?
I think that a couple of years ago there was 37 pitchers that went over 180. Last year there was 17 that went over 70. So I think the league leaders will be barely over 180. There won't be that many over. Period. So I drafted Luzardo. If he gives me 130, I'm going to be ecstatic. I think he's a beast. He came out and gave 4 innings in his first spring training start, so I think he's ready to go. I think that in the first, early in the draft, you want to draft those surefire innings so you can try to take shots like this later on, because I think that starters are going to go, not as far into games. There'll be a lot more bullpen games. There'll be a lot of weird hybrid 6-man rotation type things. So I think once you get out of the first 3 or 4 rounds, you can try to you see like the McCullers and the Luzardos kind of coming off the board, because I think if they can give you that 120, 130, and then you're hoping guys like Burns will get you into the 150s, that's perfectly acceptable this year.
Right. And then if they do happen to exceed those inning projections, they're going to take those K with them. Okay, now I know where Mendy is. So now, Dave, that you went already, you took one of these guys. So this is really pertinent to where you're at just now. I'm hoping you're, chomping at the bit to get at this one. Your pick was Lance McCullers. He certainly checks all those boxes. There might not be another pitcher in the league with a higher per inning, ceiling. So talk to us about that, right? I know the innings pitch projections is part of the calculus. Go.
Yeah, obviously the inning pitch projection played a part into it. If you watched him in spring training, he looks great.
Ooh, and son of a bitch.
I love when Simeone gets sniped, so I'm here for it. But yeah, I mean, I think at this point, I was looking at the pitchers going around him. Patrick Corbin's velocity is still down, and I'm a very much person that's kind of staying away from Patrick Corbin. Sixto Sanchez, again, limited sample last year. At this point in the draft, I'm not interested. And you look at the pitchers going around here. Mccullers seems as much as a sure chance as any pitcher in this range. And I think this is as good a spot as you're going to get him.
All right, Brian, now that you're comfortable, sorry to kind of drop it on. I'm sorry. I'm getting a handle. You know what's funny? It would have been easier if I had the pictures at least in order of the draft board. I'm just not smart enough for this. But, Brian, talk to us about the flattening of the IP curve and really in particular how it affects, right, the guys that on a normal year, 120 innings for me is not going to pay the bills. But do you see it as, hey, listen, if they get injured, I could replace them so I get X plus. Go.
In the beginning of the draft, I'm kind of looking for reliable inning guys. So, like, I didn't try to target 2 Phillies pitchers, but they just fell to me, Nola and Wheeler. In the beginning of the draft, I'd like to get guys that I know are going to go 6 innings most of the time. I'm not fading Burns and Luzardo and Julio Urias types, but I don't think I'm comfortable taking them that high in the draft.
Yeah, it's definitely one of the tougher questions you have to ask yourself because you feel like, almost anywhere in the draft, and I'm going to mention the name because he already went. So I'm really going to try and keep the bit of ethics intact here and not talk about guys that aren't there. But what I was getting at is generally when you're choosing between one of these, I don't even call them risky. We're just calling them high upside per inning guys. There's generally at least a perceived safer choice, and the one next to you right there was Sandy Alcantara, right? Even though he's young and we haven't seen a ton of it, what we have seen, man, he's a very efficient pitcher. The Marlins let their horses run, and he's one of the best bets to lead the league in 7-inning performances. So yeah, I get it. It's a really tough one. Let's go to I really wanted Joel, and I guess we dropped him. He didn't drop back in. How about you? I wanted to get to Nick. We haven't heard from him, but I don't know where your team is, Nick.
I just won. I just took.
All right. You are okay. You're okay. You're 71. All right, Nick. Talk to us about the effective nature of innings, pitch for pitchers, and how to kind of apply that in the draft room.
Yeah, I think, again, someone just mentioned it, early in the draft, you're going to go for somebody that's going to give you reliable innings, at least, the first couple of pitchers you want to take. After that, I think the world in which we're living in, most of these pitchers are only going, 120, 140 innings, once we get into the middle round. So I think that it becomes less of a concern. One of the strategies I have, which I think I'm going to have to implement here tonight because I don't have a closer yet, is once we start getting later in the draft, you start focusing on the Franken ace. You start grabbing guys like Bummer and Stalmont and Romano to sort of piece together a pitcher utilizing the weekly innings that they're going to put in. So 3 relievers become one really solid pitcher that'll give you strikeouts and strong ratios. And typically that's what I do when I don't get one of the top closers because there's so few.
I'm so sorry. Zach getting sniped in real time was precious.
I love that. I love it.
Such a crock of shit.
Gosh, I feel so terrible because I really like to think of us as friends, and I just bathed in your despair. I feel terrible. I really do. Gosh, that shouldn't have made me as happy as it did. I have no money involved here.
It wasn't even 1 snipe. It was 2 snipes. I had Bohm and Verdugo.
He got double tapped.
Sorry about that.
Tapped to the dome. All right.
No, you're not. You're not sorry.
No, I'm really not.
We're talking pitching. Nice. We're talking pitching, and finally, Simeone, I got you to spot when you're not right on the clock. Okay. So you went with German Marquez. So I'm expecting there's a format thing here, but wow, I'm a bit surprised. Talk to us about Coors Field, right?
Oh yeah, I support you, Mike. I support the pick.
I mean, it was a little bit of a panic pick, but because I got sniped. But
you want to?
No, I mean, Marquez. The Rockies let them go 6 a lot. He will go 6 a lot. So it's more of a quality start thing for me.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm gonna have to deal with Coors, but I mean, he's shown 2 seasons where he's kind of dealt with it, and overall the stats aren't bad, and you got the Ks. So I'll just deal with it. It is what it is.
I think you actually made a really good point,
because the quality starts, it makes him a little more valuable.
Yeah, Mike, as everyone knows, is way too nice. He mentioned the strongest point is it's an organizational thing. The Rockies let him go. And Marquez is damn quality, but he's going to get swallowed up at cores. Like, that's just part of it. But I do a bit of quality start work, and let's just say let's just say
Freeland had a
Colorado
bunch. Senzatella had a bunch last year.
Yeah, Colorado was prominent on those lists. I wasn't going to name anybody. Mimi, you just went so I could talk to you. Talk to us about, these pitchers, man. That's going to keep coming up. How do you weigh the guys like reliability, and again, it's quote unquote reliability against higher impact?
As the guys were saying earlier, this is the world we live in. Everyone's going shorter. I think the rookies, I know like Sixto's getting warmed up. He's getting stretched out. I was trying to attack early, getting some reliability at least. Right now, I'm just going through looking for some good vet arms, seeing if I can get somebody that can go that 6-7 innings. But it's this draft very different. We're seeing a lot of these pitchers go quickly.
Yeah, and of course, I guess I could drop one S-bomb. We'll keep it PG-13, let's say. As my grandparents used to say, man, you can't fit 5 pounds of shit in a 3-pound bag. So it just doesn't work that way. So for every pick that gets pushed, right, where it's relevant to us is for every pick that gets pushed up, one kind of pops out. And that's always been more my style, to not chase the trend. If it gets past me, it gets past me. I'm also habitually like a wheel player, and I think that's part of being a wheel player, kind of accepting that these things happen out of your control when you're 30 picks apart. Yep. Let's see. Matt, you just went, but I want to kind of get to the other end. Let me catch everyone else up on the board. We've been a little while, though. That was a really good kind of round table there. Some more pitching went Dylan Bundy, Chris Paddock, Charlie Morton. Mimi, I'm going to go right back to you, actually, because Chris Paddock is another really polarizing guy. I was tremendously high on the Sheriff. I thought getting him in the 20th round when he first came out was the steal of steals. I ended up being right. Last year, the fastball fell off the map. He was gross. And my subscribers made a lot of money betting against him because the public chases Paddock. The public chases the Padres. He was awful, and we were getting paid. Do you think it's fixed? I've heard some smart people say it is. I'm not really here to push back against it. Talk to us about Paddock.
I love Paddock. I was all on him his rookie season. I took him in a dynasty league, so I had some shares of him. Again, I'm not putting a lot of stock. We talk about it in our podcast all the time. We don't put much stock into the fantasy season last year. A lot of guys coming down. COVID was rampant. It's a new year. Paddock looks good this spring. He's firing away. He's on a great roster, great team. He's going to rack up those wins. I mean, he could be a 150 to 200 strikeout guy. I mean, somewhere in between there. I mean, it's a wide range, but I think he's got that potential.
All right, back on the board after Paddock was Charlie Morton. I'm not sure who that is. Gas stock spit. That I don't know. I'd love to ask about that pick. Anybody?
That's Andy Spiteri from Fantasy Alarm.
Oh, excellent. Anybody want to defend? Is there any other Morton people in the house? I'd love to hear it. I'm not one myself. I think he's a bit long in the tooth. I think that ship has probably sailed. So I'm off Morton.
Lights out in the playoffs. Velo'd back up to what it was, when he was elite. So I mean,
it could be.
No, I think his playoff run was pretty solid. I mean, I don't know how much stock you want to take into that, but
I don't know. Rob, how much stock? I'm asking you. How much stock are you putting into playoff runs? I'm thinking of a couple guys. A Rosarena comes to mind.
Right.
Gleyber Torres comes to mind. He went nuts in the playoffs. 100%. And now even Morton. Man, what do you make of this stuff?
I mean, it happened, right? John. Mm-hmm. I mean, things happen, and it did. And I mean, I watched it with my own eyes. You can make a determination off that, and I don't know, like a Rosarena looked like, he was a ball player, 100%, I take the Charlie Morton coming out a little slow, like a lot of other people's came out, quote unquote, slow, and he found his groove in the postseason. He's back filling gas now. I don't know. Looks good for him. I think obviously injury risk, of course, there's injury risk with pretty much every pitcher that, is living in the world. So, like I think this point, if you get a modest expectation, Charlie Morton, where he got him, I think the strikeout upside is greater than a couple of picks that went before him. So I like that pick a lot.
All right, back on the board, man. Mac. If you could blow me up one time, I'm.
You can't, unfortunately, side with Fantrax. If you try to zoom it in now, it keeps resetting to the top of the board every time.
It's okay. It's all right.
It's just something I cannot. There's nothing you can do about it.
All right. I mean, here's where we start sinking people. No, I'm just kidding. Okay.
What happened? You can't.
After Morton went Ryan.
No, look at if I do this to try to like lower it,
awesome.
I'm not touching it. It'll like reset to the top of the board every couple of seconds without.
Oh yeah, no,
when
no,
there's
no,
a pick.
I don't want you distracted. I don't want you distracted. I could have taken a little more time.
If only we had a host that was prepared.
I could have had. I was asking. I asked somebody to make me a co-owner so I could share the board. He wouldn't do it. I forget his name. Okay, after Charlie Morton was Ryan Presley, who, man, I was really high in Presley coming into the season. Anybody that followed Alex Fast's amazing work on relievers, showed there's very few clubs that always seem to go back to the well, the Yankees being another one of them.
Great article, man. Awesome.
Yeah, it was. The risk
100%.
for me on Presley, everybody, was that Houston would go get someone, but here we are. It's opening day. They have not. So for me, Presley is like RP1, with the potential to be mentioned with those really top guys, and he's going, 2 full rounds after Chapman. So I love that pick, whoever made it. Then Nick, I love the Lourdes Gurriel pick. I feel like he's one of the most criminally kind of undervalued contributors in the league. You're really talking all the categories. Then it went to Mike Moose, Brad Hand, Jordan Alvarez went to Waterloo. Oh, I promised Waterloo I'd plug him at The Athletic. Everyone check him out. I don't think he's going to be able to make it here today, but I did speak to him. He's a cool guy. After that, Maddie, it's all good, man. Don't stress. I'll make it work, man. It's all good.
I'm stressed now. I'm doing it. Everyone needs to stop making picks. That's the problem.
Everyone stop what you're doing. No. So my hope was if somebody made me oh yeah, that's right. We already talked about that. If somebody made me a co-manager, then maybe I could just bring up the draft board on its own and share it. But I'm not that good at this stuff.
Hold on. You just took Laureano.
I think I can adjust.
Nikki, I hate you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Oh, that was a really good answer, right? If someone tells me the answer is thanks. So Alvarez he's actually listed as outfield, which I didn't realize. If he's OF eligibility, that pick to me is a steal. Then Teoscar Hernandez, Javier Baez. Okay, let's go do a little catcher talk. I think catchers, Rob, I'm looking at you real quick.
Yeah.
JT Realmuto in the 7th. Are you amazed right now?
Yeah, I think that's a great buy. I mean, I think catchers get a little bit of a bump in 1-team leagues. I don't think they get as big as a bump. 12 and 15 teams with 2 catchers. I think big difference with one catcher. This is 1C. Yeah.
You would argue they get a bump in 1C. I would argue the opposite.
Even at the top, Matt?
No, they get a bump in 2Cs, I would think.
They get the bump in 2Cs.
It depends how you. I don't even care, right? Really.
It depends how you calculate your replacement level. Stats. Everyone does it differently. The way I do it, it's in one catcher league. They lose a little bit. It's still a great pick. I'm not knocking it 100%. I think it definitely goes down a little bit from a 2-catcher league, 15-team or 12-team league. But okay. I love it. I'm a big JT guy, so I love that pick.
Yeah, I was actually surprised. I guess I should have realized it was a 1C league when you passed him in. Like, obviously you're not going to him past you. I'm in the 5th. I mean, like really, if you see him in the 5th, you're pretty much auto picking him, which again is depending on your math is a huge deal. That's not my job to say that you're wrong. That's not what I'm here for.
Is Joel on the stream? He just picked Ryan Mountcastle.
Joel is not. He's been in and out. He had some poor connectivity. He did pick Ryan Mountcastle, that's probably the surprise of the draft right now. If he hops back on, I'm going to ask him about it.
The surprise of the draft.
Because listen, I don't. If you hopped on a stream with me and thought like I was not going to say what I was thinking, the joke is on you. Okay, back to the best. That is the truth, man. I'm a very loving guy, but I am genuine at that. I'm here to tell you exactly the deal. Listen, my teams, I do the same thing too. So around we went to, all right, Mendy is on the board for 2. I have my eye on you, Dave. You're going to be right up next because I wanted to ask you about your last outfield that you took. So after Realmuto, we went Blackman, right, Mccullers, Marcus Simeone, Chris Bryant, who Matt Williams has done some excellent work on, and I think Bryant is a steal. Alcantara, Joey Gallo, who is playing out of his shoes. Oh, is that him also? Yeah, that's Waterloo. I would have loved to have the Gallo owner in here. Hey, is there the Gallo believer? Do we have a Gallo believer?
Oh yeah, in OBP for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
He has one flaw and it doesn't exist in this format.
Right now, let me ask you what further. Are you buying the spring training breakout? Like, do you think MVP is here?
No. I mean, he's a 210, 40 home run hitter, but here he's a guy who gets on base, 40 home run hitter who steals a few bases. So it's totally different player.
Yeah, absolutely. I would say in OBP and like point leagues, Gallo is always a player that I kind of have circled. I feel like he does tend to fall.
How do I add John as an owner? Because I'll do it if you can access the league like that. Does anyone know how to?
Yeah, I mean, you guys. I don't know.
I think Matt. I think on Fantrax, the commissioner has to add.
I think so. Yeah.
Hold on. Talk about yourself. I'll figure it out.
It's fine. I can see it. It's fine.
Okay. I don't pick for a while. I'm good.
Okay, so let me pick back up where I was. This is really, guys, where I love to kind of live. After Simeone went with Marquez, who, Mike, I'm surprised. You want to tell me why you went over Musgrove? I thought that's where you were going, Mikey, with Joe Musgrove.
For which pick?
Where you went Marquez. I thought you'd either go Sixto or Musgrove.
Yeah, well, I mean, Sixto I'm just not a fan of overall.
Really?
No, I mean, the strikeouts aren't there yet, and I don't know how far they're going to let him go. Yeah. That's the same thing with Musgrove. I mean, he's only gone 150 innings before. I don't know if he's ever going to reach that again. He has some injury concerns as well, and I think Marquez has the higher floor for me.
Yeah, so, I'm sorry. This wasn't about me picking at Marquez. I'm sorry. It was more about, I sort of said I thought you were a Musgrove guy. That's really where I was going.
No, I do like him. Yeah, I just I don't know. He's starting to get to the territory for me where it's like kind of I don't know. He's I don't know.
Musgrove, we can pick it back
He's
up.
like maybe going a little too high.
It went Matt Chapman, who I personally love. I've already had some. I was kind of dipping my toe in the water. He hit a spring training home run, which I don't care about too much, except when guys have like core or hip injuries, which he did, a hip injury, and he smoked that ball. He looks fine. He also made a couple of dope plays in the field, which he is wont to do. So I'm like all systems go on Matt Chapman. I think the market has some correcting to do. Big fan of Chapman. Then when Dylan Moore, again, maybe I hang out with Matt too much. Really, he sold me on Dylan Moore. There's a lot to like there. I just think he's being undervalued. When Alec Baum, who I am low on, I wish Gastock was in the room. I have a couple picks that I just like to ask him about. Zach went with Sixto Sanchez. All right, Zach, you did take Sixto. So I like him. You like him. What's wrong with Mike?
There's a lot of things wrong with Mike.
That's the correct answer. That's the correct sir.
Just kidding, or maybe I'm not. I don't know. But I'm a huge Sixto fan. The innings are a little bit of a concern, and especially since he's been a little delayed in ramping things up in spring here. But honestly, just with whoever else was on the board, I mean, I'm not the biggest Musgrove believer, and I honestly thought it was a little early for Savali and Stroman, who ended up going the following round. I don't know. Just really felt like he was the best available at that time. And I was also sniped on Bohm and Verdugo right before, so I was a little shaken up there.
Yeah, that seems to be how it goes, and especially in these leagues are really tough. Dave, I told you I had my eye on you. I'm kind of digging what you're doing. I don't know if it's a wheel thing, and then maybe the same guys kind of fall. Maybe you and I are related somehow. I don't know. What I was talking about was Charlie Blackmon. Why is he so forgotten? I mean, Charlie Blackmon, did he have a bad season that I missed somewhere? Did he leave Colorado and I did not? Oh, and I'm not aware. Talk to me about Charlie Blackmon, man.
I mean, I still love Charlie Blackmon. I mean, I'm not gonna jump the moon and the stars for him. It's like, but again, you have a guy, and I go, this batting average doesn't matter, but this is still a guy that's going to give you an above 350 OBP. He's going to steal you some bases. Last year stole 2 in a limited sample, so maybe he'll give you, somewhere between 5 and 10. You expect him to score a lot of runs at the top of that Rockies lineup. Like, I just think he's still kind of a little bit disrespected. And I'm not going to go to the 4th or 5th round for him, but round 7, he's somebody that I can just plug in and I have to think twice about.
Yeah, the price is crazy. Yeah, I've just been thrown off by it. I don't know. Maybe I'm making that transition, guys. I'm going to be 39 soon. I'm getting there, getting towards 40, and that's when you start to like batting average and boring veterans. And that's where I'm at. That's where I'm at in my fantasy baseball career because I used to never take these guys. Shout out to Rob Silver, one of my favorite analysts. Man, we could find the tweets. He was the first one to do it to me. It might even been 2 years ago. Similar to what somebody said about Nelson Cruz earlier. I was like, Blackman, this guy's, getting old and he's finished. And he just goes out and does it as his price drops, which, of course, is the most important thing. So, right. Dave, I was digging that. Man, you're giving me, like, anxiety with these pitchers, dude. Talk to me about my Yankees, Corey Kluber. I spoke to Chris. I was speaking to Chris Meany today about the Yankee rotation for a Yankee special he's putting together. And he was shocked at how low I am on the Yankees. And dude, my blood is pinstriped. It scares me. My son's room looks like the west wing of, the memorial in center field. It's really like that. My family, we are born and bred, dyed in the wool Yankees fans. These moves are making me sick. Yep. What can we expect from Kluber? You think it's 2018 all over? Like, are we going back to the ace here?
I mean, I'm going to be honest. I wanted Stroman, Savale, and Montas, and I was hoping one of them were going to fall, and all three got taken. That's why I took so long with my picks, because I thought I was going to take one of them and then take a hitter. But I like Kluber the most out of that next group just because he's getting paid a crazy amount of money this year from the Yankees, so he's going to get every opportunity to pitch. And he's a guy that when he does pitch, he can give you innings. They're probably not concerned about putting him on like a short amount of innings. He's been a veteran, so he's going to give you the innings for the quality starts. He's got that offense backing him up too. So I think he's someone that's going to be in every game he pitches. And I think obviously it's a risky pick with the injury history he's had, but the upside is there. And getting him in round 10, it's worth it to me at that spot to give it a try. Yeah,
it feels like he's got the stuff right now. And I think the strongest argument for him is probably pitcher IQ. He's got it. That's through the roof. And I think he's going to be fooling guys, and I think he could do it even without his top stuff. I'm just worried about all these projections. Listen, if we had – I say we like I was a Yankee, but if there was one pitcher like a Kluber or a Taillon or a J. Mont, for example, or even Domingo Germán, guys that have been pitched in a year, it's very tough to expect the top-end projections from all of them at once. All right, I want to go to you, Ryan. You made the pick after Mendy, a player that that I probably thought – he would have included in that grouping where he said he missed on Savale and Stroman and Montas. The next guy I think of is Kevin Gausman, who you chose. Talk to us about him.
Yeah, I honestly thought he was going to take Gausman. I was pretty surprised he's still there in the 10th round. I thought Gausman was going to go a lot earlier. It's similar with the JT Realmuto pick. I wasn't really looking at him, but in the 7th round, I just had to take him. Same thing with Gausman. I don't love Gausman as my SP3 because he's so reliant on the splitter. And as we know, like splitter pitchers are just not too reliable. But in the 10th round, I'll take him all day.
I want to ask you about the catcher pick. You're the only player with a catcher. And I'm really not going to crucify the pick because I think the price is there. My question is, again, they mentioned a 1C format, and it's OBP. Is Realmuto even the C1 the way we think of him? I think I'm not even sure I know the answer. I'm just wondering. I've been hung up on these plate appearances, guys. I think that's what it is. So you know what? Let's make that the next thing. Catchers, as not exciting as they are, I think that is at the center of the draft strategy. So Ryan, talk to me about Realmuto and why you maybe don't need the AL plate appearances, and then I'm going to go around the horn with some catcher talk.
Well, I mean, Realmuto's given you the plate appearances before. In 2018 and 2019, over 530. Even the year before, 579. So I mean, I think he took the cast off last week. They said he might be healthy for opening day, and if he is, I think he gives you 500 plate appearances easy.
Yeah,
and then in terms of taking him in the 7th round, in my opinion, he's the best catcher.
Yeah,
offensive catcher by I don't even think it's close.
All right, I've had him close to Perez, and I'll tell you why, and it's not just plate appearances. I was saying this earlier. He broke his hand, and you kind of think what his hands have to do with steals. There's quite a few hand injuries that happen stealing bases. My worry is the Realmuto steals are gone, and that is usually the predication of his value, like his draft. lost. So, all right. Next, how about Cowan? Haven't heard from you. How about a little bit on catchers? How does 1C different from 2? Do you think you could just punt them and get them off the waiver, or do you think the few guys that maybe offer you the plate appearances should be going at a bit of a premium?
I'm usually never someone who takes a catcher early. In all my drafts so far, I usually am one of the last people to take either 1 or 2 catchers, and I think a 1 catcher league, I'll probably be the same way. I can understand reaching on Real Muto. You have the stability of it with the injury. He'll probably be ready for opening. Wouldn't be too concerned with it, but I'm not going to pay the premium for an elite catcher when there's guys going around him that put up better numbers and you're only putting it for a catcher. But I can understand it. In this format, there might be 1 or 2 who you push up a little bit, but I think they'd have to fall to a value for me to really consider it.
Yeah, well, that's fair. I want to ask you now about your last pick. You picked Patrick Corbin, somebody who I was very high on just a couple of years ago. However, I feel like his success has pretty directly been tied to his fastball velocity. He showed up into this spring, and he was pumping a not-so-heavy 89. Are you worried about the fastball velocity? Do you think it comes back?
I think recently he hit 90.
Well, Mike, even at 90, then I'd say, don't you think he needs a 92 or 3 we were used to? 90 would still be on the low
I
end.
want to see him at 90 because in 2019 he started at 90 as well.
Okay, so you're...
You son of a bitch, Rob. Sorry.
I'm a nice guy.
I was so close to taking Jimenez, and I was like, nah, he'll probably come back to me, obviously.
Listen, you gotta understand. You gotta understand, there is no sniping after round 1. You've had an opportunity to take a player. There's no sniping.
You're not wrong.
One time I pitched to Toby, backflip crazy about sniping me, and he said, "Well, if you wanted the player, you should have taken him."
Right,
I was like,
right.
Oh.
I was like,
yeah. Let me tell you something about Mr. Nice Guy Toby. Let me tell you something about Mr. Nice Guy Toby. If you want somebody to just, like the Macho Man Randy Savage, to climb up on the top rope and drop like a nuke on you from orbit, Toby's your guy in a text thread. Man, he does a lot with very little. My man is awesome. Love Toby, man. Love Toby.
I like me and Rob completely ignoring that OBP exists, taking Jimenez and Robles back to back. The stolen bases are still real, folks.
Yeah, steals are real.
Steals are real.
That's why I freaking wanted them.
I got most of my OBP targets and Rosario, Castellanos, Springer, Rendon, and I can take a Jimenez 300 OBP and I built it up, 100, and I'll take him even if he gets 400 plate appearances, I think I'll get the steals. And which is also another interesting thing, though, is the steal. There's a trading league, right? So I think this plays into maybe the whole strategy of maybe I can punt a specific. Or not even a total punt, but say pay less attention to a specific category and make an in-season move. Say, hey, I have this and you have that. Let's make a fair trade. And I think the ability to have, of that in this league is interesting. And I think it allows you maybe to play things differently than a regular roto, like NFBC style, no trading.
Who just took Brantley?
Yeah, I like that, Rob, too, particularly that how much you tailor the approach to the format. I think in a world where the way the information moves, it's basically ubiquitous. The way to find edge is through effort. So I think that's where you're checking that box all over the place. I'm definitely picking that up. So I'll get back into the board. There were a couple picks I wanted to. Okay, I have my eye on Nick. After Nick picks, I'm gonna get back to him. All right, Nick just took Nick Solak, who I like. Nick, I want to get to you about your last two. You got one pick I love and one that kind of scares me to death. And it's a player I love. It's a player I love. So the player I love is Razor Ramon Laureano. I was just like over my skis getting mad at Rudy Gamble and Derek Carty. And I was just trying to yell at these guys, trying to tell me that the Ramon projections for batting average are broken because he's like, it's like 288, and the projection's like 245. And I'm just not buying it. So I'm with you. I think Laureano, particularly if the average boosts back up and he's hitting at the top third of that lineup, he's like a 25-25 guy. I don't know what he's a perfect example of how people have used 2020 to be self-serving to their own kind of analysis. The guy making me nervous is Dom Smith, Nick.
Yeah.
A lot of the news now is kind of out about the Mets. He feels like he's going to play. Doesn't Pilar scare you. We could be talking about a couple of bats every week, which is more than that every month. Maybe him not even playing some days. Talk to me about Dom Smith.
Yeah, I mean, I got to admit, it was a little bit of a homer pick. I was between him and Hap. I went Dom because, I love the guy. I think the talent's there, obviously. He's going to lose some at-bats, obviously. He's playing left field. There's no DH. Nimmo will play center field. Dom will probably be splitting sometime with Nimmo, maybe in left field. Maybe J.D. Davis will take some at-bats away from him in left field. Dom will also probably be removed a little bit, later in games, close games for defensive purposes. So he's going to lose some at bats. I think the projections need to, come down a little bit off of what we initially thought he would be putting out this year. But at the same time, in an OBP league, I think he's going to be great. And I'm willing to take a little bit of a hit on the at bats. I didn't necessarily get him at a bad draft pick as well. I got him at 143. I think early on in the season, in the off season, during mock season, he was going around ADP of 100. So he fell to where probably he should be going.
I paid that price. So it wasn't to knock you. I paid the highest price I paid it, so it's not to knock you. I've been finding my share percentage. If I was charting them, it's kind of tailing. It's kind of tailing off. Paul, I love Mamino. If anybody doesn't follow him, you got to follow him. He's over working with Matt at the Roto Fanatic. I did a podcast with him on earn run indicators. Man, it was really, really good. It was really good. I learned a ton. He's super smart, like all the guys over there.
We have to boo him real quick for drafting Dinelson Lamet.
Well, that's where I was getting at.
I did it in the chat. Don't worry.
I should be lobbying Fantrax and NFBC and CBS to add the N into Dinelson Lamet's name, because that's where I think you're heading for, people. There's nothing but sadness in your future. I can't see how many starts. I'm way too worried. Things that need to be surgically repaired, I think need to be surgically repaired. I'm worried. Back to the board. It went Erod to Gastock. Again, strong pick if Erod is healthy. He really struggled with COVID, but it's not structural damage. And it's not to downplay the virus, but it's not structural damage. So, give me a viral load over a torn elbow, let's say. Then I went to Carlos Correa in the 10th to Mimi. If you want, Mimi, I'm going to kick it to you again. Yeah. Carlos Correa, super polarizing. He's another one of those guys I probably should have mentioned to Rob before, where there's, I don't even want to say you've gotten a playoff tax, because I think he's coming at a decent price. But I think without the playoffs, we might have a different view of him. So talk to me about Correa.
I think, if he leads off in Houston, that's going to be a phenomenal go right there. Hopefully some trash cans in the background. He gets a hitting going again. But I like the upside in that lineup, and I like the fact that he could be the leadoff hitter there potentially.
Yeah, I was just talking about him with somebody, and it's definitely not to knock the player. 145 WRC plus seasons just don't happen by accident. My worry is the volatility, right? It's like 100, 150, 100, 150. So my worry is we've seen the downside with the injury history. Back to the board. After that went Hap. Let me get to you, Zach. I haven't heard your lovely voice in a second. You won't be up for a minute. You went Hap, who I love, and I think he fits well into this format. Sorry, was it Nick? That's where I would have went over Dom Smith. You mentioned Hap. I think that's where I would have went. I think he might lead off or be at least in the top third every single day. So I've been into Hap. But, Zach, I wanted to talk to you about Hap. Then talk to me about Soroka, where you think the injury is, when you think you might get him back, how long you think you might have to replace him for, what he means to you this season.
So really was eyeing Ian Happ or Dom Smith, and Dom Smith obviously went before me. Back to Dom Smith for 1 second. I'm actually really not all that concerned. I know a lot of people are concerned about the playing time loss. I think, honestly, Pete Alonso could be the guy that gets pulled late in games.
Oh, Matt is fuming right now.
And Dom moves over to first. I mean, he's a superior defender. I could see it happening. But it's really going to be – it's all going to depend on who's the hot player right at that point in time.
Well, I can't see Alonso losing a single at bat. I could be wrong, but my money would be on.
I would think in spring training they've had Dom in the field like only one time and no time at first base. So I think their plan has been just in the pudding here.
could see it very late in games with Pilar going to the outfield. But anyway, Ian Happ, love Ian Happ. I think he's going to probably be, like you said, in the top half of that order. Yep. Double-digit walk rate. I think he's great for this format. And Soroka, it sounds like he's on schedule. I mean, in April return. So with the IL spots, I'm not overly concerned. If he misses maybe 1 or 2 turns in the rotation, I'm fine with that. I mean, he's got ace potential, and especially in quality starts, if he's truly healthy, I think he could go deep into games. So I think it was a good value in the 11th round.
All right, Maddie, you're up next. One quickly on Alonso and Dom Smith. You're my resident Met guy. But then I wanted to ask you about Julio Urias, somebody you know I like. Do you worry about getting dodgered?
I mean, sure. I took a Luzardo earlier in the draft, so I definitely didn't necessarily want to get Urias as my next pick. But I think he just dropped way too far, which, it's a quality start league. But everyone looks at his total innings for the season. They don't add in what he did in the postseason. He really went deep. He actually pitched some of the most innings in the entire league if you add in the postseason. Yeah. So I'm not as worried as some. But yeah, it's a risk. But I think his talent wins out for how far he went. So I was willing to take him.
Okay, but so you think he gets the ball every 5th day with or without David Price, with or without Dustin May, just making me stare at GIFs for an hour at a time?
I'm not going to pretend to know what the hell the Dodgers are thinking. They're probably going to be piggybacking people. Who the hell knows? But for now, I'll just take the superior talent when I can get it, and we'll see how it goes. It is a trade league. So we'll see. I can make up for problems, but for now, he was too talented to remain on the board, so I took him. But whatever. Who knows what the Dodgers have cooked up for this weird season.
All right, Deadpool, you want to turn, Rob? You know what? There I go again. It's a bit of like a boring Steady Eddie. Well, and he is an Eddie, right? Steady Eddie Rosario is just that. I mean, you can almost set your watch to this guy. It's always a good feeling to not feel like every pick has these tremendous amount of variance. But I wanted to ask about Jimenez. Man. Yeah. What a change we've had in narrative over the past 4 or 5 weeks, right? He was going to the minors the last I heard, and now all of a sudden he's like the hot topic again. Talk to you about Jimenez. It seems like opening day, you think?
I think, yeah. I mean, I would hope that he's already one of their best players. I mean, I'm a Met fan. I watched him play. The kid can play. He's just a baseball player. He can play everywhere. He's going to grow into power. He's just such a phenomenal player. And I think if you hope for even 400 at bats and 20 steals, like in round 11, you don't really, that's without dragging you down anywhere else. I think he'll give you some good, good. Well, I mean, his OBP won't be as great, but like I said, I try to build that up leading into him. But I like Jimenez. I think he should be playing right from the get-go, and at the worst, come up probably, June.
I wish I had the confidence. I was high on him. Rob. I was getting all the deals, and I got scared off it. I could be a bit too conservative, almost to my own detriment. And now and then I get like FOMO'd. So I go from I was early, I got the good price, then it starts to move, and I end up missing out on the rest of it. And I think Jimenez is going to be awesome. I also think there's an outside chance that he just absolutely runs wild this year. I think Cleveland is going to have to win in interesting ways. So I think when they get guys on the bases, you're going to see that.
And right there, I was thinking about Robles too a little bit, but the fact that I knew I wanted Eddie, and that would have put me at 4 outfielders, where I'm not really so against that, because good players are good players, and you could play them anywhere you want. You
it looks like Robles lead off every day, man.
Right? No, 100%, and so that's why it was a toss up to go back to speed, just to dip a little bit into speed right there, and I thought those were my best 2 options. I went for multi eligibility too, because I didn't have a shortstop yet. So,
I had a question for Rob just before we moved on, because I was thinking about, I like Jimenez, but I already actually had 2 shortstops at the time. Just the whole thing with Cesar Hernandez stealing 0 bases last year, which is a completely weird anomaly. Does anything like that kind of freak you out with Jimenez batting at the top? Or do you think that was just like a strange occurrence?
Yeah, Ramirez ran.
Yeah, I was going to say, I feel like that was just a weird thing.
Maybe.
I was just curious, just because it's weird,
he might have been injured. Also, all right, we get back to the board. After Soroka was Marco Gonzalez.
I think too, if you're a good manager, kid in spring, you see him go and you tell him, hey kid, you can do it. You got the green light. I don't think they're gonna see.
I think Hernandez.
They'll recognize his skill and send him.
Yeah, I think Hernandez will be back in the steals category. I don't think he's going to get 35, but I think he's good for a dozen this year, kind of easy. I want to get back forward. Yeah, Cesar Hernandez. Yeah. Matt brought up that 0. I think he might have either been dinged up or that was an anomaly. I don't think we see that again.
He's just one of those guys who's so, like, I don't understand, like in some draft I've been in and he just lingers around and like regular straight up roto. And it's like, he shouldn't be lasted into the 300s. The guy leads off. He doesn't take games off. And like a draft and hold type of league, he was just like, I'll take him all day at that price range,
All right. I just saw back-to-back outfield picks by SP Streamer that I absolutely love. Mike, tell me how much you love them. If you don't love them enough, I'm going to tell you how much more I love them than you. And it's Anthony Santander and Andrew McCutchen. I mean, 2 top third lineup, both very strong, both, you can get average and power, and McCutchen is runs and steals. Talk to me about those 2 guys.
I went with Santander for a little bit of power.
Yeah.
I think he could, like you said, top of the lineup. I think he's legit. I know Rob is in love with him. And then I went with McCutchen too because, good OBP, top of that lineup, going to get you steals, going to give you a little bit of power maybe. Do
you think he stays on the field? Do we think? How about this? Do you think we get a
hopeful
140? Yeah, well, I'm with you, man. I'm not really doubting you. I hope we're right. My number was like I'm hoping for like 140, 135.
That'd be nice.
Yeah, I hope so, man. I hope so. But the bright spot with injury guys, if there is one, is when they get hurt, you can kind of replace them. It's better than guys that don't produce. I think when McCutchen's on the field, I think you're getting production.
Yeah,
for sure. Let's see who haven't heard. I didn't get Cowan in a minute. I see your last 2 picks is Montero and Madrigal. Talk to me about second base, Cowan. And that's a place I've kind of been punting. All right, he is drafted. I was more the Solak guy, but to me it's kind of similar. Talk to me about second base and why you think you could wait till the 12th round to fill it.
Honestly, I wasn't trying to. It's just kind of how the draft fell. And then Madrigal is still there, and I like his OBP will be fine because he has such a good average, but steals was something I was looking for too. I know I was a little short on steals, so I had to go back to.
Kill me.
I love that.
I'm sorry, the grunting and the groaning is just
I got distracted. I had to see
Matthew.
It's just like a Walking Dead is amazing. I'm sorry, Cal. Take it away. I'm sorry.
It's steals with Madrigal. I think will be a good value down here. Something I needed and. After him, second base gets pretty ugly, so I had to
that's what I was looking for, is that really that shelf, even as a punter of second base, when we start to get to that level is when you kind of start to get worried a little bit. All right, back to the board. Now I'm starting to see a couple pitchers that I like. Be on the lookout for my pitcher articles coming out now. I did all my positions, and now I'm up to pitchers. And I'm going to try and do like a landscape navigation, right? Instead of just ranking pitchers, you can't have them all. So I'm going to try and highlight guys throughout the board that I like. One of those guys is Tyler Mahle, and he went through Ryan. So Ryan, you give me a bit on why I'm right about Tyler Mahle.
Well, he had the pitch mix change, he added the slider, and he became much more dominant. The one concern I have with him as SP4 is that I was going through his innings in the last 2 years, and he's not great in quality starts. I'm just hoping that he gets better and goes deeper into games because he's going to allow less runs and obviously
you're hoping for a bit there, but I think it's there. Again, we go back to growth not being linear, and Cincinnati being one of those organizations I trust with my pitchers. It's kind of weird, right? It feels kind of subjective to say – in a vacuum, I trust Cleveland and I trust Cincinnati, more than I trust Pittsburgh or even my Yankees, to be honest. My Yankees don't have a good record. Did nothing with Chance Adams, nothing with Justice Sheffield, couldn't do anything with Sonny Gray or Lance Lynn. Last time I checked, those last 2 guys are pretty good. So other guys I like in that area, I'm seeing guys pop off the board that I kind of love. That Eflin, I like Eflin, I like Mahle, I like Urquidy. So there's a couple guys here, and for quality starts, Marco Gonzalez went to Mimi. Is it as easy, Mimi, as he's really so safe, right? His kind of catchphrase is that he's boring.
Well, which batting was that? I was looking at my draft board.
Marco Gonzalez.
Oh, I love Marco this year. He's got a hot spring. He's on Seattle.
Oh, I pinched you. I'm sorry. I pinched you with two things. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I'm just saying I love Marco this year. I think he's going to be a very good talent.
Yeah, I thought you were two. I'm sorry. I think you were two behind. You have it coming up. Sorry, guys, about that. We can go back to the front end. My boys, Rob and Matt. I can't see the last three picks. I know that Rob finally got his catcher in Wilson Contreras, which is nice.
Love it.
And Josh Donaldson went to
Love
Matt Williams. I love Donaldson, and Matt backed it up with Marcana. So
Great
Matt,
Donaldson. I love the Donaldson pick right there. He was in my wheel of guys I was considering. It was a great spot.
Yeah, Matt, I love both of those guys. I want to ask you, Matt, about Marcana. Yeah. It's weird if you strip away names and narratives. He kind of measures up to some of the very best.
Yeah, especially in OBP, and like there's talk he may be leading off to or near the leadoff spot for Oakland, who's obviously going to score a decent amount of runs. So, yeah, I think that I only had a couple of outfielders here with two. I haven't filled my utilities yet either, so I wanted to grab another one. And I liked him for a big breakout in 2020, coming off of like that kind of like second half when like he started to get those at bats for Oakland in 2019. So yeah, I think he's gonna have a pretty monster year this season. He seems pretty, and he's pretty safe.
Yeah, that's funny. He's one of those guys. It feels kind of boring and it feels kind of vanilla, but he gets he pays the bills, he gets it done, and the context is there, like you said. It just seems a little weird. You get a little power, you get some speed, you're gonna get on base. He's going to do a little bit of everything to you. Rob, on a turn, my man, Jesse Winker, who I don't know, maybe it's injuries that seem to suppress his value. Rob, talk to me about Winker, and I think he's like he could be a candidate for that leadoff spot. Shogo is down, if anybody hasn't heard. He'll be starting the year on the IL.
Is he down?
Yeah, well, that part is for sure. Shogo will start the season on the IL. That's what as much as you could trust the news nowadays, that's what I saw.
Right, and so I mean, again, John, I'm a lot like you. I like to break my guys into baskets, and I have, there's a range of guys where like their power and their average are comparable, and I have Winker like just as good as Charlie Blackmon. So if he's going so much earlier, I'll take those same level of skills later. Plus the on bases is pretty special there. So taking the Jimenez, pick, I wanted to make sure I went back to OBP a little bit and concentrate on that. And I like the Winker spot there.
I wonder if somebody gave me their login info. I wonder if two people could be on.
Oh, sorry, I tried to do that. I can't add you mid draft. Sorry. I tried to do it. It won't let me do it.
Two people be signed in on the same account. Like I wonder if I tried to sign in with your credentials. With your stuff, as if I were you, just on the different computer, if it would kick you off, and if it didn't kick you off, I could probably share it. But if not, we'll do the best we can, and if worse comes to worse, we could cut it. Hopefully, horribly so. All right. So when Wilson Contreras, can I ask you, Robin? I got to go back to you again.
Yeah. What do you got?
I mean, you're my favorite dude, right? So that's the thing. No, why Wilson Contreras over? I thought we liked Sal Perez, man.
I like Sal Perez. I think,
but not as much as I thought.
I think in OBP he gets slammed a little bit. It's big. He take the big hit in OBP, and I think got Contreras valued actually a couple $2-3 higher than him. So that's why I went with him there.
All right, catchers are back in the news.
Yeah,
Zach.
They're back in the news.
Zach is preparing to get yelled at right now, or I hope so. Zach, I have to ask you, because this has been, I did it on my catcher episode. It's been, my catcher article, and I've been talking to people about it. Will Smith, I don't think anyone's doubting the talent. I don't think that's in question. My problem, now that we've lost the DH, and his backup is like almost a 50-50 split. Kershaw carries a personal catcher. So Will Smith, to me at least, feels like has a max of 80% plate appearances. I don't know how can he catch up with Sal Perez or Christian Vasquez doing that?
Yeah, I mean, I think his OBP is superior to Perez and Vasquez. We saw some big strides from Will Smith last year 14% walk rate, really cut down the strikeouts a little bit. And yeah, I mean, he's probably going to get benched once or twice during the week, but I think the numbers are going to be there when the season's over. And I just thought there was going to be a catcher run, and we're already seeing it here with Perez and Vasquez afterwards. And I just, with a one catcher league, I didn't want to get stuck with the bottom of the barrel for catcher. So
the talent is there. Yeah, the talent is there.
I mean, Will Smith probably dropped at least a round or two in value. I mean, I feel like he's typically going around like 10 or 11. So the catchers are definitely dropping in this format, and I felt like it was a good time to scoop up some value there.
Yeah, I think I've kind of showed my hand already where I stand on catchers, and it's been very hard for me to traverse the gap in plate appearances. I just haven't been able to do it. Again, with the DH, and listen, Sal Perez is going to hit every single day. Vasquez is going to hit every single day, and Vasquez might even steal a couple bags. All right, man, I wish Mamino was in the house. Paul, if you're listening, I think I'd have you on. We got to talk about this draft. You just have a lot of guys I'm interested in, and whether or not I'm drafting them or not, I'm interested in. He went with Mamino went last with Chris Bassett, QS machine. A little bit boring, but I get it. Then he went with Clint Frazier, who I love. Who was the Yankee guy? Mimi, was it you? Were you the Yankee guy? All right, Mimi, talk to me about Clint Frazier, where you see the plate appearances, and anyone else. You got your hand up. You're going in next about Clint Frazier, and man, listen, it's Kaufman. Brent Gardner is back. How safe could it feel?
Hey, real quick, we're going to 1 minute, guys. I put it in the league chat earlier. I don't know if anyone saw it.
Sounds good.
Yeah. Good.
All right, cool. Talk to the Yankees.
Clint Frazier, Red Rocket, elite bat speed. Got to give him the playing time. That's the key. I love Clint. I think he's a great talent. My biggest fear as a Yankee fan is he's going to get hot, and in comes Brett Gardner. In comes somebody else to take away playing time from him. He just needs that consistency, and he'll be a stud.
Yeah, I've had it's been so frustrating. I mean, supremely frustrating, not just as a fantasy manager, but as a Yankee fan. You feel like he always produces too, and they just seem to find ways to block him. I've heard he's actually kind of a D-bag. So
yes,
sorry,
I've seen.
I don't know him. I love the hair. I love the chain. I love the cleats. Like, I'm all about dripping swag. Like, I'm all down with that. But you got to be a good dude. You got to be a good teammate, or people are not going to want you around. And if it's costing you plate appearances, you better correct that attitude, because it's time to win another championship. It's been like 11 years. We're getting kind of bored over here. All right, let me get back into the board. I see John Means went to Nick. Nick, I'm going to get back to you after you draft. You're in a couple. So I'm going to let people deal with their cues as we get deeper into the weeds here, and you have a little more work to do, because I wanted to ask you about John Means. People, now that velocity seems to maybe have stuck. We saw what he did at the end of last year, and a lot of people are wondering if there's continuation coming. Let me get to the guys that just picked. So on the end, how about Mendy, man? I didn't have my boy Mendy in a little bit. You got the controversial picks just kind of coming out of your ears. So you went double closer in Minnesota and Atlanta. So they're both kind of places that are not solidified. So my first thing before we go into the next set of picks is, man, I'm worried about saves in Minnesota personally. You just feel safer than I do?
So at least I'll address the Will Smith pick first. I think Will Smith is the closer going the latest here. That actually I think is, in my opinion, I think it's very solidified. Okay. I'll be shocked if he's not the guy in Atlanta. And 100%. That's been someone I've been trying to snipe later on if I miss out on the big guys up top. Yeah. Alex Colome is somebody that I took here also just because he may not get every save, but I would expect him to get somewhere like 65, 70% of the saves. And if you looked at how Rocco Baldelli does the bullpen, he doesn't commit to one guy, but he does commit to one guy more than the other, in the sense that there is a guy that gets a majority of the saves compared to the other guy. And that's why I felt Alex Colome, with what they're paying him, what they just brought him in for, he's going to be kind of it's not. I don't think of it as a 1A, 1B. I think of it as a 1 and a 2. And I think he'll get 65, 70% of the saves on a team that is going to have a lot of save opportunities. So I was happy to take these two guys here, and then that way I don't have to worry about trying to get saves and trying to scratch for them.
I was up.
You got
I had no idea I was up.
Hold on, do you want me to undo that?
Well, it's an he got an OBP monster.
No, it's fine. I'm an asshole. It's fine.
It seems like he made it on purpose.
Keep it going.
Butter meatball.
It's a good pick, though.
Whatever. I'll take it.
You locked into a great pick.
Yeah, it's a great pick.
Well, yeah, I had him in my queue, obviously.
Okay, so all right, we're back on the rail. All right, Mendy, what I wanted to ask about was the Carlos Santana pick, a guy I think is probably being horribly undervalued in OBP.
Oh yeah.
The guy I am scouting, Leody Taveras, is seriously polarizing. Let's get down to him. I've heard league leader in steals. I've heard he'll be on the bus to Tuscaloosa, with 3 weeks in. It's been really tough for me, and it's kind of scared me off it. I had him as one of my later round steal targets. So I guess the question is, do you think he sticks?
I do. I think in a team that isn't going to contend, it's not like they'll be like, all right, you're not performing after a week or two. We have big aspirations for this year, and he'll be on the bench. Like you said, that upside of being the league leader in steals is why I took him here. Because outside of Whit Merrifield, I don't have a consistently high steal source. And that's why in round 14, I was kind of looking to be like, hey, this is a guy that can kind of pick me up in the way that I'm going to need it in that category. Obviously, I didn't want to take him much higher than this, but at this point in the draft, I considered it was worth the gamble for the steals that he might be able to give me.
Yeah, I've been wondering myself when we get to this level. I mean, somebody like Nick Anderson went after, so if I was just chasing ratios and partial saves, maybe I would have went there. And then like the little save devil pops up on my shoulder and he's like, you can get Anthony Bass like 100 rounds later. You could get, there's all these terrible closers. The Rockies have a closer. And I'm like, get out of here. I don't want that shit. No, I hear you, man. Especially I think the ratios are going to be there. Colombi's been so interesting. He seems to get by without the skill set that I like to see in closers. But listen, that to me, that's like a skill in itself, just shutting the door. Back to it. I mentioned Vasquez. He went to Simeone, who just made the best mistake pick in history. You heard it here first with Joey Votto. Mike, can I ask? I now honestly want to ask. Maybe you had somebody you liked better, but man, why would you even be upset about Votto? I think we sort of.
No, I wasn't. I just figured I wasn't going to take him there. I don't even know who I was going to take, honestly.
But
you don't
want to know what you were watching.
Top of my queue. Yeah, I would have just waited a little bit to grab him.
Yeah, you probably could have had a little room, but he definitely circles, guys that are undervalued and have a chance of seriously outperforming that kind of narrative that gets lost when we shift from standard. All right, back on the board. We mentioned Tavares, who I like. Ryan with Mac Kepler, solid pick. Fantasy Logician went with Andrew Benintendi. Do we have any Benintendi defenders in here? We got any Benny guys? Man,
I don't mind him.
He's a stud. I mean, you just hope that you can maximize how he plays. 100%. I mean,
do you think the Royals are going to unlock that? Listen, the Royals.
Angels.
Yeah, Jorge.
Were you talking about Otani?
No, Andrew Benintendi.
Oh, Benintendi, my bad, John. I'm sorry.
Yeah, Benintendi. Because, this is a highly touted prospect. All the shine, all the physical tools. He's not hurt. I mean, we're right there. I mean, this screams post-hype sleeper with a change of environment. Right. But I can't find anybody that seems to love this guy. I guess maybe that just speaks to the industry. We're all a bit worried. All right, Callan, I want to get you up next. You got in my Yankee starter circled, Jordan Montgomery. I mentioned Kluber. I think I have the same questions. What could you really expect from this guy?
I think it's my fifth starter. I think it's just solid. He's one of the industry darlings. Every site seems to have a sleeper Jordan Montgomery pick. My pitcher list, and we had I can't remember off the top of my head who wrote it, but it was a great piece on Montgomery, and it's good stuff. He's one of the pure soft contact guys, so he'll give you innings, and I wouldn't even surprise if he gets you a few up there in quality starts. Yankees, he's one of their more trusted guys for innings, which kind of scares me as a Yankee fan, but I think he's going to be solid. He's not going to do anything spectacular, but as my fifth starting pitcher, I think he can't do too bad with that.
Yeah, it's not – I have nothing against these Yankee starters in a vacuum. My worry is, I actually had said it today to Chris, that it's a parlay we're asking for. Or getting any of these new Yankee starters to the finish line is an underdog bet, right? Everybody should agree on that. It's not the favorite. And what happens when we need multiple underdogs to hit? we generally end up with a parlay that's for dum-dums that nobody would take. So I think the chances of this Yankee rotation getting even to the All-Star break is just terrifying. I don't know. I think it means maybe it's Devy's season. I don't really know. All right, let's move on a little bit. Waterloo, again, more guys I like. This team I could probably dig on. He added Brandon Nimmo. My partner and I just added him in a main event qualifier league. Listen, if Nimmo is going to play every day, I guess some of the plate appearance issues maybe resemble Dom Smith a bit. But if he's going to get at least the majority of looks, he bats in the leadoff spot. I checked it out. It's like 98% of his games played. So I really like the Nimmo pick. Joel went with Hunter Dozier, who I really like. I really wish we had him back because I'd like to ask him. We covered Votto. Nick took Travis d'Arnaud, who I kind of have my issues with, but I guess as far as catchers go, he's okay. Mamino grabbed Colton Wong. Again, I wish Paul was here. I'd love to talk to him about that. Singer, I see, went. Gary Sanchez, I'm sorry, you can have that. Zach Braff, talk to us about Shohei Ohtani. Listen, I've told you, I'm an old curmudgeon. I'm a batting average snob, and I'm telling you, nobody with a 180, 160, 140 floor is finding their way onto my team because they can hit home runs. I just not happening. Talk to me about Shohei, who I feel like every time I open Twitter is doing something awesome.
Yeah, I was watching the game today, and those 2 home runs kind of sealed the deal for me to take him tonight. He looks great at the plate. Definitely worked on some swing changes from last year. He was really struggling. I think he was a little banged up, obviously, last year too. So, in this format, we're a weekly format, right, guys?
Yeah, weekly.
So my thought process is I'm most likely going to be locking him in as a hitter for the most part. I think anything on the pitching side is going to be extra, but he fell way too far in my opinion. I really did not want him. I don't typically like these utility type guys, especially I personally don't want to be the one to deal with the Ohtani headache, but in the 14th round, he's still there. He's
Mike, you're on the clock, by the way. Sorry.
Oh gosh, what the?
No, he doesn't have to pay attention.
I don't know what's going on.
You have one job.
Sleepy K is not in this draft, Mike.
Well, I'm waiting for him to say I'm just so damn interesting. He's mesmerized. But
that's definitely part of it.
Nice, Mike. Nice.
You miss your pick. All right, so we're getting to the end of where I can see. Matt, I wonder if we should wrap it, which would be fine. We could just pass to everybody and have everybody do a recap of how they think they did and maybe where they think they need to go. I'm not going to ask you every 3 seconds. Yeah, but what for every 5 seconds for the next 3 hours, you're going to maximize this thing.
Why can't you just? I was doing it the other night. I was just unsharing my screen, reset a browser, and then just resharing it, and it'll give you the lower half view if you scroll up and just reshare it at a different point.
Yeah, again, I'm not on that point. I do have to apologize for not being on it. I kind of assumed NFBC, where I have the guys' emails, and Tom and Derek and those guys were awesome enough to they give me the board link. So I'm getting it real time and it's all crispy. I think this went really well, everybody. I'm proud. Even if we pull the plug here, I'm proud of the way this went. I think a lot of people got to share their voice, which is really probably first and foremost the point of the league. But again, we should be ashamed if we have to wrap. Hey, we always just be more prepared next time. Matt, I want to get to you. I love you, man. I love that style. Matt, I don't know. You and I are simpatico, as they say, Matt. If you and I lived in Texas, we would be simpatico. Aaron Hicks is not a homer thing. I cannot wrap my hands around. I waited a long time to mention his name because, again, I didn't want to be a spoiler. I don't think that's right. Aaron Hicks is the first player that comes to my mind when I think of OBP League. So, Matt, thank you for finally taking him off the board. He has a chance to hit in the top third of the Yankees lineup and put up a 380 OBP. Why is this guy out there? I don't know. But he's not anymore. And then Rob backed it up with my boy. I didn't know. Rob, you're a yard bro also?
Yeah, I like a yard bro, 100%. Yeah,
everyone loves
a yard bro.
Yeah, I love his end zone. Yeah, his end zone stuff is impressive. It's just a ton to like about him. Maybe I might take the hit on the quality start side of it, but I love what he'll give me right now.
Yeah, I love me some Yarbs. And yeah, we're getting to the point where I need an electron microscope to see this. So let's stop it, guys. This was awesome. This was really, really good. And I think for kind of building a boat in the middle of the ocean, I think we did a really good job. The other option would have been people kind of scrambling anyway. So we go around the horn. Rob, you're on the back end. Talk to us. What do you love? What don't you love? What do you think you need to do?
I like the way it worked out. I like to go pitchers early more often than not, but I wanted to play the board and anticipate either Gray or Strasburg drop in, and so I'm happy I got one of the two, but both of them. Picked it up with some speed at the end that I definitely needed. I like my balance. I like where I got my closers. I feel confident in both of those guys. I think Rosenthal, to me, is like a top 6 closer. So where I got him, I felt pretty great. So,
right, if we don't circle back, obviously he's the host of the Deadpool Hitter podcast.
Yes.
Follow that account. Also follow Rob's personal account. Rob, where can everyone find you if we don't get back to you, kiddo?
At Deadpool Hitter on Twitter and at Pull Hitter Pod is where you'll catch me. Thank you, Johnny.
You're the man to take down in the DC's Matty in the 2-hole. My boy, turn 2 OG. Talk to us, homie.
I wasn't paying attention, so I don't know what you guys are talking about.
How do you think you did? What do you like? What don't you like? Well, listen, Matt, unlike some people, he was paying attention. He was trying to fix the draft board, everybody. Which I thank you, Matt. You kind of carved this out for me and kept me from looking like less of a dummy than I am. So talk to me about your team. What do you love? What do you hate? Hopefully you don't hate too much, because I think you did a really good job. And what do you think you need to do going forward?
I like what I did for the most part. There's a little bit of risk. Aaron Hicks, as much as he's an on-base percentage beast, he's injury risk. I got Josh Donaldson. I'm betting on a Jose Altuve bounce back, which I'm pretty confident in. Reese Hoskins has the elbow problem. I think he'll be fine. So I do have some risk, but overall, I like what I'm doing.
Okay. Let me go. I'm going to go to the back. So Mendy, let me get at you. I was actually talking to one of your buddies about triple play. We're trying to get my crazy ass on your pod.
He's not here anymore.
Mendy left. All right, I'm talking to myself. Love him anyway. Ryan, that'll be you on the end. Close people out. Where can they find you? What do you like about the draft? Don't be shy. Talk to us.
My Twitter is Ven_baseball. And the draft, I really like my team. The only thing I'm not happy about is getting Cronenworth as my second baseman. My pitching, my starting pitching isn't awesome. I don't love Gosman and Malley, but I like where I got them. For the most part, though, I like my team. I think it's pretty well balanced. I'm just gonna have to patchwork second base.
Listen, drafting in a room full of sharks like this is no joke. It's what it is. You're not going to get any deals. Everybody here is everything, right? Every thread is pulled. Every layer of the onion is peeled. So you got to just do the best you can. These guys are not going to give you. They're not going to give you a break. So you have to kind of be – that's where I was getting into trying not to reach outside of myself and grab guys that the room dictates. I take a very simplistic approach in the beginning, kind of just give me the baller, give me the player, and that seemed to work out for me. Cowan, same thing for you. Where can everyone find you? Close us out. What do you love? What do you hate? And you can tell everybody how great of a job I did, I guess.
Oh, great job.
Wow, really?
That's fantastic.
Didn't even have to
find me. You can find me on Twitter at Callan_Elsliger. I'm one of the We Love Baseball writers over at Pitcher List once a week, and I'm one of the co-hosts of one of the new podcasts, Command the Zone. Pitching is the one thing I'm concerned with this team. I like the pitchers, but there's definitely some risks with Carrasco and with Patrick Corbin, even with Montgomery a little bit. I'm really banking on poor closers to get saves and Rodriguez and Montero, so that's something I'm going to have to probably address either late in the draft or work the waiver wire with, but that's a concern. But hitting, I'm a pretty big fan of. I'm banking on some bounce backs, but I think I'm hitting most of the categories. So, pitching is
2 rounds to go, and I'm sure you're gonna handle that again. Keep these jackals in mind because they're out for blood.
Just don't tell Nick that I struggled in the pitching department. I might get fired for that.
Well, I actually know you can go to him for catcher advice. That's what I learned this week on Twitter. Yeah, Zach, what do you got, man? Go for it. Close it out.
Sorry, just took Brian Anderson.
No worries, my friend.
You can find me on Twitter at BravZ, and my team. There's definitely some risks. It started off with Acuna at 4, though. I freaking love him dropping to me at 4. I was not expecting that at all.
Yeah,
so that was a great start. But yeah, I mean, there was a lot of high OBP guys that I grabbed, which I'm really happy about, which enables me to take some risk later on, and maybe some guys that won't hit that high in OBP. I think I'm going to have to do some streaming for pitching, and Kirby Yates and Anthony Bass as my two relievers. I don't love it. I had to reach for Anthony Bass at the end. I think he's the guy in Miami. Really like what he's done the past few years. But yeah, we're going to probably have to stream some starting pitching. But overall, like what I put together so far. And Andrew Vaughn, I think he's going to be up very, very early, and I loved getting him at 177.
Oh, yeah, that card. Love that. I ran out. As soon as I saw him fist that home run, I ran out and bought that card, and those things shot up overnight. That's how that market kind of goes.
Can't imagine that price rise.
How often do you have to deal with bad Scrubs jokes?
Oh, it's all the time. I've been dealing with it my whole life.
Just so you know, I've avoided it myself.
It's okay. You can do it.
Yeah, you might not peg me for it. And again, I wear all this kind of weird stuff on my sleeve. It's just like rock and roll. Like if you don't like it, kind of kiss my ass.
Good. It has gotten me plenty of dinner reservations before.
Oh yeah. Oh, geez, that's crap.
It does work. I've gotten like special seating in New York
seriously? Is that true?
I have. Me and my wife, we went for our first anniversary dinner, and they were like, "Mr. Braff, so good to see you again," and I just went along with it, and we got
I mean, you're a handsome guy, kind of, again.
I appreciate it, but
he is kind of known for his hair.
We're both from Jersey. We're both Jewish,
that's it.
So
the first thing I look at you and I say, this guy reminds me of Zach Braff. He must be from Jersey. All right, no, all kidding aside, I just think it's funny. I think I wanted to admit that I like that show. I think it's brilliantly written, believe it or not. I really do. It makes me and my wife laugh. Okay, Nick, same to you, as long as we're out of the way of your pick, because I just keep doing this to you. You're in the middle, and it's been very hard for me. So, Nick, close us out. Talk to us. It was good to meet you, man. I really am glad to meet new industry people. If you could deal with me, I could be fun, you know.
Man. Thanks so much for having me, and I want to thank the league also for inviting me in. This is a group of real heavy hitters here, so this has not been an easy exercise tonight, and I'm sure the season is going to be just as difficult. But I'm pretty happy with where I am. I wasn't much to your point. I wasn't too psyched about the Denard pick. But I need a catcher. I wasn't crazy about taking him there. But I feel like after it really falls off after him. So what are you going to do?
I didn't want to drop my catcher nugget. The guy didn't go yet, but there's a catcher nugget in Mike Curlin's notes. If you're looking. If you get that electron microscope out, I just can't do it. If you want to DM me, I'll tell you, but I just can't do it now because it wouldn't be right. Matt's really just so nice. I don't know. He's much nicer than me, but he was nice enough to kind of let me, kind of 3-ring circus this thing and give people an idea of how these things unfold and just how tough these draft rooms can be and a bit of the thought process that you guys have. And I think that was the big takeaway for me, allowing you to, express yourself through it. And I think probably most importantly, to show people that you approach these things, and this goes for everybody, with an open mind. There was very little, this is great, I am right. It's I absorb the probabilistic, method here and just kind of do the best I can. So
that's.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go.
Yeah, no, that's the thing, and when you're dealing with these guys, you're not really looking as much at ADP. You can't really marry yourself to that because they know all the players, and they're going to take the players that they need and the players that they want, and so that sort of goes out the window. And you just have to roll with the draft, and that's what I've been doing. That was John, to your point, you just roll with the draft, and I've been happy with who I'm getting, but I've been sniped countless times tonight, but it is what it is.
Mm-hmm. I actually thought that was interesting. You brought up a really interesting counterpoint to what I had said about my application of projections, how I use them against people, meaning I don't use projections thinking that's what's going to happen. I use projections knowing that a certain percentage of people think that's what's going to happen. And then I pivot. I often describe it as where I counterpunch, not where I plant my foot to attack. So what you mentioned, Nick, I think is probably the most important thing you can do when you find yourself in a highly competitive league would be I would take my ADP list, I would rip it in half, throw half away. I would take the other half and throw that in the garbage as well. That's probably your best bet, because it's not going to do you any good with people that not only understand ADP and how to use it, but they know how to use it against people. Mimi, I'm sorry, did you close out yet, man? I want to make sure.
No, not yet.
Yes, please do. Where can everyone find you? It was nice to meet you.
I'm watching Bobby Dolbeck get sniped from me away. I was thought he was going to sit the next round.
Yeah, I was taking him next, and now I've got.
I'm glad I can't see the bottom of that board because
that just goes with the ADP there. It's just at this point you just rip up ADP and start taking your guys.
I am hoping. I always hope that one day I'd be referred to as one of those market makers, like Clay Link. Clay Link brought up Jose Ramirez not being able to hit breaking balls, right? And his price just like totally went nuts in the wrong direction. And like, I hope I'm the Bobby Dalbeck guy. So go ahead, close out.
No, I appreciate you doing this. You hosting this. This league is awesome. Matt, thank you for putting this together. It's phenomenal. We're Stack Attack Podcast. I'm N Mimi. Made my Twitter handle like 10 years ago, and it's still holding strong. No, I'm very happy overall how my team's coming out. Closers, I expected actually to get one of the top 4. But it was a wasteland here. So scraping a barrel, but overall I'm pretty pleased with what's going on. But a lot of snipers in here.
Yeah, I think to that point about relievers, for the people really worrying, the first thing I would say is you could add them in season, but you'll have to be early in a sea full of sharks, right? You're gonna have to look for 8th inning, high impact guys before they get the job. And other than that, a lot of people are gonna be struggling. So maybe having a couple guys get 12, maybe that 36 will get you a 5 or a 6 in the standings. You never know.
What I've been doing is just following beat writers on teams, looking for the 7th, 8th inning guys, seeing who eventually is the next up.
Well, yeah, that's really one way to do it. I'm a little bit lazier or busier, depending on how you look at it. I've been letting Greg Jewett kind of do my my filtering for me, right? He aggregates it. He aggregates it, and yeah, I guess I'd be remiss to get out of here without promoting some of the really great work out there. There were a couple of people providing just priceless tools to the public. I immediately think of Alex Chamberlain. He's probably changed my life with his leaderboard. It sounds stupid, but it's true. I think of Derek Rhodes and the injury board that he's done. These are must-have tools, people. They're all free. These are gentlemen and scholars. You can approach them. They'll hook you up, help you out. Oh, man, there's another one. Mike Curlin's spring training lineup absolutely is on that list. Mike is doing inimitable work right now. That shit is gold, baby. That shit is gold. Eyeballing who's playing when, where they're playing, and lineups next to each other day after day, and seeing it is no one has really ever done that for us before. And the last one, even though they're a bit out of my league, would be the great people at Savant providing StatCast data in spring training, so now we can obsess over more stuff in March. Last but finally not least, Rob, did you close this out, right, Rob? Yeah, Rob, you went.
Yeah, I went, buddy. Yep.
Go ahead, Rob. You want to close it out again? Deadpool hit it, man. You go twice, baby. I don't give a shit.
Yeah, just tell everyone, smarten up and don't be a bag of shit.
Those are words to live by. Okay,
100%.
Those are words. So, Rob, you've actually come up with like 3 RotoWear shirts already today.
Oh, and I had one written down for you that you said a long time ago. I didn't want to interrupt you, though, because I was adding guys in my queue. But you said landscape navigation as you were going through the draft board. And I think your face with the draft board with the words landscape navigation. I wrote it down for you on my scratch pad.
All right. Well, maybe they'll make us a collabo and on the back, you can say, "Don't be a bag of shit."
Don't be. Thanks for doing this, buddy.
Right now, it's a time for seriousness, and we give all due respect, credit, love to my man, Matty W. He never seems to take the credit I throw at him, but if I could throw physical roses at him right now, I think the great person you see in front of, like in the public sphere, really pales in comparison. Matt, I can't say enough nice things about you as a person. You've become my personal friend, and you are an amazing baseball analyst. Whether or not you know it, you've pushed me to the next level because I know that I can't bring no weak shit to you. If you bring weak shit to Matt, you're going to get served. And he's going to do it politely. He's going to do it professionally. And you know what? That makes you feel even worse. Because when someone insults you, you can walk away saying, well, I think I won anyway because he had to be mean. Matt, in the nicest way, is going to dissemble your argument and just feed it back to you. So, Matt, I'm dead serious, bro. None of that is just flattery. man, when I met you a year ago, I would have never thought we'd be talking a million times a day. You're the kind of guy to put one of these things together. You organize without being asked. You give your personal time. So I know for me and everybody here, thank you. Close us out. Where can they find you? Why are you such a damn good guy? And when are you going to stop working so the rest of us can sleep?
No, I am pretty amazing. I know.
I agree.
Sorry, I was trying. You said do everything politely as I'm scrolling down.
I forgot a compliment. You will wait. How dare I forget when mentioning those tools, Matt? Your player breakdowns are a labor of love, bro. Those are almost touching. If baseball analysis could be touching, that is the deepest work. Your emotions, the love and the passion, bro. The way people describe how I am on air, that's how I feel about your breakdowns, dude. I really mean it. I mean it. And as I'm talking, there's a half a dozen people here nodding their head. So, Matt, all cheers to you. Close us out, dude.
Well, thank you. I'm very uncomfortable getting all sorts of compliments.
No.
And you say I do everything really politely, but I gotta say I've been deleting names off my rankings as this goes along because I have my own thing going on. Because I don't know. For some reason my the F5 isn't working. I cannot find Matthew Boyd. That's how low I have in my rankings. So thank you. I mean, whatever. I'm just gonna stop searching. But yeah, you can find me on Twitter, everybody, at Matt Williams, MATTWI77IMS. Turn 2 Podcast at Turn 2 Podcast. Go to rotofanatic.com. We have our projections, our park factors, which are awesome. Go check those all out too. And yeah, thank you for everyone for tuning in. Thank you for everyone for joining the league. This should be a fun year. I keep forgetting that there's trading, and that's going to be so badass with this group.
Yeah, I'm laughing because I'm thinking like the universe is helping you. The universe actually buried Matt Boyd because it doesn't want you to have him. You're too good of a person. It was like, you know what, man? John makes some really good points about Matt. We can't let him draft Matt Boyd. We can't do that to him. So everybody, that was the first, I'm squinting 15 rounds or so from the Turf League. Listen, I had said this to Matt before we went on air. All of these industry leagues, you're not an industry league until it gets live streamed and people could, take part in it, right? Because that's really it. We're all here to give back. And I hope this was an immersive experience. The last one, the tag team draft, did really, really well. There were a ton of views and it sparked conversations, podcast topics and stuff like that. So I hope this does the same. Everybody, thank you so much. I'm signing out. And I'll see you, man. Check me out, FTN Fantasy, Cork Stats. Get on it. I just had Barton Smith on. I like to try and wear different hats. It's not just analysis and player breakdowns. I chase the stuff I'm interested in. Like I mentioned, it was projections, so I talked to Derek. I was interested in stabilization, so I talked to Russell Carlton. I was interested in earn run indicators, so I talked to Bamino. That's how I rock and roll. I caught that Barton Smith presentation during PitchCon about
shit, bro.
About seam shifted wake and Magnus force and gyro and all these things that can be intimidating when you first hear about them. But Rob, dude, you are not kidding.
I remember we were in the chat room like, oh my God.
I was freaking
out.
It was almost as if someone showed me a new color or a new shape.
Right.
What? I went from I was listening to it. I was just listening to it as I was working, and 10 minutes later, Rob, it actually might have been you that was like, yo, John, you might want to check this out. This is some seriously interesting shit.
Right, and yeah.
5 minutes later, it went from me listening to it trying to work to me emailing my editor, and I was like, you ain't getting shit today because I'm learning about Magnus Force. And that's exactly what went down. I was so captivated that I brought him on. So anybody that's kind of into that stuff, listen, I did what I do best, and I put my chin out, and I fell on my face a couple times during the episode because I don't understand it all, but I'm willing to ask the tough questions. And I don't know if you caught it, Rob. I hope you enjoyed it. And I think I did a pretty good job bridging the gap. So people get on that. And all love again. Follow Roto Fanatic. I'm going right to the data monster right now. FTN Fantasy, fade the noise, everybody. I hope you enjoyed it. Let's get out of here, everybody. Go home. Have some ice cream. Fish the wife and kids.
What is happening with this thing?